It's the frog suit. It's just, why do you exist?
I love the frog suit. It's better than a Tanuki suit. I said it. It's better than the Tanuki suit. A Tanuki suit can go.
If you're underwater, the frog suit is the best.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. If you're underwater.
Okay. But the Tanuki suit is useful. It sounds like you just have some like prejudice based on like its inflated value, perhaps, if I can put it that way.
Are you trying to say that I'm calling it overrated? The phrase that I hate when people use? Yes, I am calling it overrated.
Okay, anyway.
I have hot Tanuki takes here.
It's time to hammer.
Oh, I gotta really try hard.
Shut it down!
Somehow it's the best.
After the credits.
A YumChunks podcast.
YumChunks!
Mamma mia! Mamma mia! It's time to talk about the Mario movie on this episode of After the Credits, a YumChunks podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Davis. With me is Sean Davis.
Wahoo! Sorry, I had a brain. I was like, what's another quote? And I couldn't think of anything.
These are Mario quotes.
I'll be your player too. That's a video. That's a thing. Video games.
Sure is. What else is a video game thing, Matt Chewie?
It's spaghetti time. Woohoo!
Oh, I love that line. That
Italian stereotypes. Wahaha!
Oh, well.
I'm a number one. That's Luigi, I think.
I'm gonna win.
So long, Gay Bowser.
Oh, Mario.
That's probably not gonna be the last time I do that.
Yoshi. I don't do a good Yoshi. That's not a good Yoshi.
What's when he jump on his set?
Yeah, the
Yeah. Enough of that.
Nope, that's the whole podcast.
That's the whole episode.
We're just doing Mario noises.
I mean, oddly enough, we kind of summed up the movie.
I mean, that is
accurate. The summary. Sorry, we didn't say spoilers, listeners, but we just spoiled the movie for you.
We apologize.
I don't.
We're usually so good about spoilers.
Okay, so what's happening? What's going on?
Well, I guess we're going to talk about the movie, but before that, we have to talk about ourselves and how important we are.
We don't have to.
No, but we are going to do that.
We don't have to be doing any of this, Ryan. You don't have to be here.
Look, if Illumination and Nintendo get to make this Mario movie, then gosh darn it, we get to do our Chunkfires. All right.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
And as we're going through, you need to say for every item that you talk about why it's more important than watching the Mario movie.
Okay. I thought you were going to say that we have to call each thing a power-up. Like they say,
that's
like
probably
they,
that's
like they do in
things,
the movie.
You can do both of those things.
Like they call them power-ups.
Okay.
Yes.
Because they're aware that they're in a video game. Apparently.
What
is this?
Okay. Well,
sorry.
I have an easy one then. Let me go first because I have really quick, short, nothing ones.
Okay.
Well, they're not nothing, but because they're very important, which I have to explain why. But also the one of mine makes sense for this.
Okay.
And that is, I read the book Metamorphosis, the kind of classic literary Franz Kafka Metamorphosis.
Yes, I have read that as well.
I had never read it until recently, until just this last week. It's a quick read. It's real fast and short, so that means it's good. So that could be like so many power-ups because it's literally about a guy who turns into a bug. Like Mario is constantly turning into things. Like Mario Odyssey alone, he is like 80 different things, and he puts on suits. There's no bug suit though. Has he ever?
No, B. He's a B in Galaxy.
Oh, he's a B there.
Mario Galaxy.
Perfect. See?
He's a B.
Yeah.
There. So I'll just say then Mario. Then Metamorphosis is like the B suit in Mario Galaxy.
Right, and just like the Franz Kafka classic, the Mario is steeped in metaphor.
Exactly. When you're a bee in Galaxy, what you're really doing is you're representing the plight of the American laborer in turn of the century, Gilded Age, wildcat banking, etc. Anyways, the book was good. It was not quite what I expected it to be. It was a lot more. Well, one, it was more modern. In my head, for some reason, I thought it was like hundreds of years old. It's not even 100. It's like 100 years old. It came out in 1915 or something.
Yes,
it's basically modern. It's basically the Mario movie. And it's also like much more comedic and just like it's not a comedy, but it is. There's comedic tones. It's like a dark comedy. It's like this poor guy just start turning into a bug, and his family is just like embarrassed, and they don't want to talk to him or see him, and his boss wants to fire him. It's subversive and about just, and it's written very matter of factly. Like I was expecting to be this like much more surreal philosophical treatise on like, oh, I'm turning into a bug. What does that mean intellectually? It's like, no, it's just this guy who's turning into a bug, and it's weird and kind of creepy, but also like darkly funny and odd and short, and it's great. Everyone should read it. It's
it is.
You can read it in like a couple hours.
Is it Kafka-esque?
It's exactly. Now I can legitimately say that. I can say that word now. Okay. I've done the work.
Have you read the Murakami rendition of that story?
No, I haven't.
It's a short story that's part of Men Without Women. He kind of does his own take on that, and of course we know Murakami is a big fan of Kafka. Hence Kafka on the Shore. Yeah. You should definitely read that. It's interesting. It's almost like him emulating Kafka's style, but it's like everything's kind of flipped on its head. It's an interesting read.
Yes. Well. Yeah, I mean, I knew of that, and I have not read it, but as a huge fan of Murakami, it is funny even reading, now that you say Murakami, Metamorphosis is Murakami-esque in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is magical realism in it of itself, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, everyone go read that. Go do some, literary classic stuff. You know, it'll make you feel good, and then you can eat all the cheap Harry Potters you want, or Twilights, or whatever you like, and you don't have to feel guilty.
I don't think people like either of those things. Well, actually, people like Twilight a lot more now, and they really don't like Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
But whatever it is you like, it'll feel better because you ate your healthy Kafka dinner, and then you can have dessert. Anyways, and then my second thing is I watched the movie adaptation of the musical of Matilda, which came out last year. Chewie, maybe? I don't remember. I don't think we've talked about it.
I don't know.
I haven't watched the movie adaptation yet, but I did see the
I was
musical.
just going to ask if you've actually seen it live, and I kind of half expected you to have seen it, so that's cool.
I didn't like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I want to know what you think of the movie, because I actually think it would probably work better as a movie. I don't know how I haven't watched it yet, but anyway, go ahead.
So yeah, I was like very, very pleasantly surprised. Like I ended up really liking it. I was just kind of throwing it on just because like, I haven't seen this, and I was going to be kind of doing stuff around the apartment and whatever. And I instead just sat and watched the whole thing and was like really into it. All the music stuff, I think, elevated it to like, the 90s is, very nostalgic and classic, and I still like the 90s one, and Mara Wilson and Danny DeVito and everyone is great at it. But I do think, I don't know, I haven't seen that one in years, so it's not as fresh in my mind. But after watching this one, I was like, oh man, I think I like it more. The girl they got to play Matilda is great. All the woman they got to play Miss Honey is great. Emma Thompson as Miss Chunchin is great. Like, all that stuff's good. But then, and it's the same story, so it's very, very similar in terms of the plot beats and stuff. But I think they did a really good job of filming it and capturing that kind of weirdly dark, whimsical, Roald Dahl kind of, flavor. But the stuff that elevated to me was the musical, or the music elements. I thought so much of the music was so much fun, so awesome, just really captivating. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that, especially Chewie, if you did not like the stage musical. I'd be curious to know what the differences were at the very least.
Yeah, I have every intention of watching it, and I'm a little embarrassed I haven't already. But yeah, I can't speak to the recent movie, but I saw that 90s movie so many times. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid. It was one of those movies I just watched over and over again, didn't get sick of. And I had read the book a handful of times. And so I'm definitely biased. I definitely went in with, with thoughts and biases and, But I did think, when I saw the trailer, I was like, I think the movie's probably going to fix some of the things I didn't like about the stage version. And the stage version and the book and the 90s movie all had things I liked and didn't like. They all had their strengths and weaknesses. So I'm excited to watch it, and I will definitely report back once I do.
I mean, after watching it, I liked the music so much, I just listened through the entire soundtrack, but I ended up listening to like the original Broadway or whatever, the original stage production soundtrack. So there were tracks in there that I was like, oh, I don't remember that, because they did adapt, and there were things that are not in the movie that were in the original stage production. So and then some of the songs are either edited or shortened or tweaked and stuff in other ways too. So there's definitely differences for sure. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. It was great. I loved it. And I think that was kind of like in Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door, or Mario 3, because there's like a stage, right? Mario 3, the curtain comes and like the whole game's like in a stage. Same with like the Paper Mario games. Every time you go in a battle, right, there's like a crowd of people, and you get like they cheer for you and stuff like that.
I haven't played any of those games.
Sorry, but Mario, at least Mario 3.
The whole thing is a play. Because in the first game, the first game actually happened, and then the second game was a dream he couldn't stop having dreams about his events of the third game, so he wrote a play about it, which of course was embellished, and that was Mario 3.
Yes.
And those are the only 3 games that are canon.
The rest, exactly. The rest
were
like
inspired.
No.
Yeah.
So that's how Matilda is like a Mario. I don't know if that's a power-up, but it's close enough. And why they're both more important than the Mario movie? What was the other thing he's supposed to do?
I'm not going to do any of that stuff. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I completed World 2. That was World 2. I got the star, and now I'm passing it on to Ryan. Here, you go next. You take command of World 3.
Okay. Well, the first power-up I ate is I watched this show called Beef on Netflix, and I picked it purely because of the name. And I had not heard of this at all. But if you see a show in all caps says the word beef, you're compelled to watch it. But anyway, it is a dark comedy, like heavy on the dark and heavy on the, well, not dark, but just very dramatic, very anxiety driven, if that's a thing. But it's Stephen Yeun and Amy Wong, who are both like just super.
Is it Ali Wong?
I'm sorry, Ali Wong, and they're both super good. And it's kind of it's about their beef with each other. In that they sat down to have some steak together once. No, but it's just super dramatic. It is funny, but just if you're going to go in, just kind of expect that it's going to be pretty tense and those kinds of things. But yeah, definitely big thumbs up, recommend for me for that. And that's like, for me, that's just a solid mushroom, just kind of beefs you up, makes you a big beefy boy, big burly beefy boy.
And again, going back to, I keep going back to Mario RPG, but I think those games have so much that it's easy to draw them. But you could cook in those games, and you can make mushroom steaks, so that like even more.
That is true. There's a lot of. I wasn't expecting there to be so much like, I guess you could call it crafting, but you are baking and cooking in that game, which is like, why is this a Paper Mario thing? What? But it actually works. As someone who's kind of critical of crafting in games in general, and I think it's rarely done well. Good job, Mario.
It's actually done better than a lot of like CRPGs and Western style, massively, open world style crafting mechanics.
Speaking of CRPG, and the reason that Beef is better than the Mario game is because it has Stephen Yeun and Ali Wong. That's all I need to say, really. They should have.
Only they had voiced someone.
Oh man, I mean, every time, like the more Stephen Yeun does, I'm just more convinced he's
he's-
so good. Like he's just
Mainly because of the mud pies. But
shouldn't have had such a sloppy mud pie.
Ali Wong could have played a good Birdo, I think.
Oh my gosh, what a missed opportunity. Hey, maybe for the sequel. Save it. But speaking of CRPGs and dubious crafting systems, this delicious spring suit power up from Mario Galaxy, because
Oh.
that was something that happened. And it does fit this metaphor. Is the video game Divinity Original Sin 2. This game came out, probably 8 years ago, but it remains one of the top reviewed games on Steam. It probably has one of the most active Reddits. Not that I'm really on Reddit that much, but it is a very active Reddit for a game this old. This is just, for one reason or another, a very highly loved game. But it is a CRPG in every sense of that, what that confers. It's just super involved. The mechanics, I've never seen a game that requires you to meta a game so hard. Like it's counting on you save scumming to death. It's just some of the most curious design decisions I've ever seen. But with that comes a lot of freedom, and the crafting system is needlessly meticulous, and I ignored it for the 90% of the game because yes. But it is very much a Mario spring suit, and that is just, what is going on with this? Why did someone make this? What am I?
I'm actually surprised. I thought you had played it, just knowing that how many CRPGs you play. I thought you had played it years and years ago.
No, absolutely. I did play the Divinity Original Sin, the prequel to this game, long ago when it came out, and I very much like that. And I will say, after having played the sequel, I think I like the first one quite a bit more. It's a little more pared down and just like, it's just the meat and potatoes, really just hardcore, like rooted, strong tactical RPG. Great stuff. And I've actually played all the other Divinities as well. Larian is a great studio. I am, to be honest, not looking forward to their Baldur's Gate 3, but we can talk about that another time. But regardless, it is a good game, and it probably deserves all the accolades it gets, but I do have a lot of problems with it. Anywho, the reason this is more important is because I've already said more meaningful things about that game that I will say in the next 2 hours reviewing Mario. So.
2 hours?
Clock us.
Oh, baby.
Also, you could have compared it to, well, again, it's not a power up, but I was just going to say Mario Rabbids. That's the closest Mario ever got to like a CRPG.
True. And I mean, the tactical, again, I don't know, I use this phrase tactical roots, but are super, super good in Mario. What was the first one called?
I think it was just called Mario vs. Rabbids. Was there a subtitle to that?
Mario Rabbids? Yeah, whatever. The first one. Yeah. And the second one's good too. I just haven't finished it, so. Anyway, there you go. Those are my chunks. Mario.
It's a me.
Yes, Chewie. What?
Speaking of power-ups, speaking of mushrooms, the other day at work I was eating lunch which I had packed. Bad idea. Usually just Maeve makes my lunch. It's usually anyway. I had these jerky turkey sausage sticks in a bag, and I had 3 of them, and I ate one, and then I ate half of the second one before I realized it was covered in green mold spots.
Oh no!
I mean, they tasted fine, but if I have to get up to go do explosive diarrhea during the middle of this, well, there you go. And so that's like Mario, because mushrooms and fungus, and I'm not gonna keep this charade up anymore.
Hey, it's a blue mushroom that perfectly fits the bill.
Yeah. Well, I've got 6 items on my power up list, so let me just start crossing them off. All right, in the world of movies, I have one that's pretty relevant for this episode. I saw the movie Tetris. Anybody watch that?
Oh,
I didn't.
I don't have Apple TV.
No,
but I would.
Yeah.
I really want to.
I had no idea that the video game Tetris was single-handedly responsible for the fall of the Soviet Union. But this movie will have you convinced that is the case.
Oh wow!
I really liked the movie. It is
awesome.
very, very loose on the based on a true story. There's a lot that's straight up made up, but it is the stuff that's made up is to kind of like, the development and the ownership rights of the game mirroring like the cultural mindsets of the Soviet Union at the time. I see what they were trying to do, and it's at times a bit of a stretch, but boy, is it entertaining. It is Console Wars meets Bridge of Spies.
A couple of the trailers that came out a couple months ago had me really excited for it. And I still am. I just haven't seen it yet. So.
Yeah. It's like the Mario movie in that it also has an action sequence set to hold a knot for a hero. But unlike the Mario movie, this sequence was good. All right.
We're spoiling. We're getting into opinions.
Ooh, I'm loving the
Continue on.
spoilers so far.
So I also saw the movie, forgive my pronunciation, La Usurpadora. It is the 7th or 8th remake of a telenovela that was popular in Mexico and in, I believe, Venezuela. But this time it was a movie musical. And, it went like this. We both were really interested in the Owen Wilson, Bob Ross movie, but it had terrible reviews. And then we were like, well, we're not interested in the movie Air, but it's getting excellent reviews. So we were really torn. And then we're like, let's just go see this random Spanish language musical instead. And we did, and it was delightful. We had a great time.
Kudos for doing that.
I've never even
cool.
heard of that. So
yeah, it is playing at our local Regal, and it's got a extremely limited release, but it was a lot of fun. If it's playing somewhere near you, go check it out. I think you'll probably enjoy it. It's not amazing, but it's considering we had no plans on seeing it, and we just kind of wandered in. Good time. In the television realm, I've been, like everybody else on the entire planet, watching Succession. Are either of you guys watching that?
Nope. Ryan, I'm not on that planet. I don't know, Ryan. Have you ever seen?
Nope.
Okay, well, for the listeners, Season 4, Episode 3 just aired a couple days ago, as of this recording, 2 days ago.
Based on the internet, that was something crazy happened.
Uh-huh. And I just rewatched that episode today, like literally as I was eating dinner right before I jumped on the microphone, I rewatched it because that's one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen in my life. It is, we both were like, we need to rewatch that episode. So Succession, I'm not going to say anything more, but anybody listening to this who does watch Succession, boy, oh boy. Anyway, all right, moving right along. Maeve and I watched the series on Apple TV Plus, The Afterparty, which, have either of you guys seen that one?
No, I've heard of it again, but I have not
It's
seen
it's a whodunit with, why can't I remember any of their names right now?
Mario, Luigi.
Mario, no, they're not in those.
Sean, does it have maybe in it?
Maybe. No,
that's your thing at Search Party.
No, has Dave Franco, who is the one who dies. That's not a spoiler because that's the whole premise of the show. Tiffany Haddish is the detective. Ben Schwartz is in there, and some other people. But it is every episode is the events told by a different suspect, and so it is very. It's very Glass Onion, Knives Outy, more sillier than that, but it's a lot of fun, and it kept me guessing, and then at the end I felt stupid when they revealed who it was, which is great. That's great. It's because you
said it's on Apple again, right?
Yeah. Afterparty. We made our watch list, so we're trying to watch everything before our trial expires. But now we're like, well, dang it, Afterparty's getting a second season, and it airs in 2 weeks from now. So I guess we're keeping our Apple Plus for a while, because by the time we get through that, something else will have another season. Anyway, recommend from me. In the realm of video games, I started playing Star Wars Jedi Knight, Fallen Order. It's all right. It's all right so far. And in preparation for the Mario movie, I played through over spring break all of Bowser's Fury, and that is probably one of my favorite Mario games now. I really liked that a lot. It was great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was what power up is the Mario game like?
It's like it's like the red shoes that make you run really fast that you smash open in the TV box.
No,
which is from
you can't do that. You can't do
this
that.
is from a video game that got a better movie adaptation than this. I'll fight you on that. Anyway, okay, so those are my chunks. Started with a video game chunk, Tetris, ending with a video game chunk, Bowser's Fury. I did that on purpose. Go.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
well
All right. You should see the pose I'm making. It's real. It's real. I did that on purpose. Like. Anyway, moving right along. What's happening now?
I guess we're ready to talk about Mario. I think.
Yeah.
I think Ryan's telling us what happened.
No, Matt is telling us.
Matt, sorry, Ryan. Yeah.
I mean,
Chewie, you're telling us what.
I would say
Spoilers.
I would
for
say
Mario.
spoilers, but if you've played any Mario game, then okay. So delightfully, though. So here's the summary. Delightfully, the movie opens. Its first act is almost identical to the first act of the 1993 live-action Mario movie. You got Mario and Luigi living in Brooklyn with a plumbing business. They filmed a whimsical little commercial where they're doing stereotypical Italian voices like in the video game. It's their excuse to not have to do it for the rest of the movie.
Yep.
So, and they have a disapproving dad. Like every animated movie right now, they have to have a disapproving dad. So they got that. Some goofy Looney Tunes stuff happens, and then there's a giant manhole explosion in the street. They are like, this is our chance. We're gonna make a name for ourselves. They go underground to fix the thing, and they end up in a warp pipe, and they end up in the Mushroom Kingdom. While they're warping, they get separated. Luigi ends up in the Bowser Kingdom, and there's a scene with the dry bones, and he's scared, and he has a flashlight, and he's scared because Mario ends up in the Toad Town, the Mushroom Kingdom. That's what it's called. And he meets Peach, who's the princess, and we've learned that Bowser is gonna go steal the power-up star and to take over the Mushroom Kingdom so that he can marry Peach. And he imprisons Luigi. I'm kind of doing this from memory and also glancing back and forth at the Wikipedia page. So there's Mario, we got Toad, we got Peach. Peach says, I'm going to go to the Donkey Kong town to enlist the help of the Donkey Kongs to go fight Bowser so that we can live in peace. She says, Mario, if you want to tag along, you can do this obstacle course. And she does it perfectly, and he can't do it at all. But she takes him anyway. All right, they go to the Donkey Kong Valley of the Kongs, and they go there, and King Cranky Kong is like, all right, we'll give you our army if you beat my son. I think he meant his grandson, but he says, if you beat my son in combat.
Well, his son is dead. They get too dark.
Okay.
Based on Donkey Kong lore, his son is dead.
Oh. Did Mario kill him?
I don't. It's not. I don't.
Anyway. So Mario fights Donkey Kong in the arena on a bunch of red truss and scaffold because it has to look that way. And he uses the cat suit from the video game that I just played. And then they like, okay, we're gonna go. All right, cool. You want our army? We will go help you fight Bowser. But the only way to get to Bowser for some reason is by using Mario Karts, which we have. They have Mario Karts, even though they live in an isolated valley. Mario Karts exist because the Donkey Kong's nation have them, and they build them. So they make those, and they ride around on them, and they ride across Rainbow Road. And while they're on Rainbow Road, Bowser attacks, and he puts everybody in cages over some lava. And then there's some kind of, I don't know, an action scene happens. And then there's a wedding. So Bowser's going to marry Peach in his Mario Odyssey outfit. But Toad gives Peach an ice flower, and she turns into Elsa. And she fights, and then Mario gets the Tanuki suit, the one that everybody just loves for some reason. I don't get it. I never liked the Tanuki suit. And then there's a fight, and then they fight, and then delightfully, the movie ends the same way the live action 1993 Super Mario movie ends. Everybody ends up back in Brooklyn. And then Mario ends up with the superstar and does the thing, and then the music does the thing, and then they run around and beats up Bowser, and then picks him up by the tail and swings him around because he does the thing, and then he throws him, and then they give him a mini mushroom and put him in a jar, and then Mario and Luigi move to the Mushroom Kingdom. The end. Question mark. Block.
Nice.
Oh, I see what you did there.
So,
and then there's a post-credit.
What happens in the post-credit scene?
Well, I don't know if it's actually post-credits, but there's a Yoshi egg. Which has no significance.
Because I remember waiting through the entire movie.
The post-credit scene is the same as the one from Godzilla 99. Or 98.
Yeah.
Yes.
But,
it's the exact same. They're in New York, and we see an egg, and it hatches, and now Godzilla... It's Godzilla, right?
I don't know. Mario?
That's who the egg is in the egg. I can't imagine who else would be in the egg.
No, I don't know. I mean, they did show Yoshi's earlier in the movie, so it couldn't have been that because they've already shown us Yoshi.
They already shown it, but they can't be hinting at something.
So it can't be Yoshi in an egg because they've already shown us Yoshi's.
Yeah,
it's probably just a one-up, you know? Like
no, it's a Yoshi Godzilla because I have been waiting for decades for a follow-up and to find out what happens after the events of that Godzilla movie, and finally in the Mario sequel, we're going to find out what happens in the events.
Finally, yeah.
We're going to learn that Mario is the one who saves New York from Godzilla.
So this post-credit scene was kind of like the Shazam 2 post-credit scene in that it was the exact same post-credit scene as the Godzilla post-credit scene.
That is true. And it was also very much like the post-credit scene from Sonic the Hedgehog where Wario comes in propelling with his tail propellers onto the scene.
Yeah. No, Wario was unearthed. Wario was unearthed frozen inside of a chamber. And he opens his eyes.
As a secret government experiment?
Yes, he opens his eyes and it cuts to the credits. Actually, that would have been a better post-credit scene. Well, boys.
I was expecting a Wario. I was surprised there was no Wario tease.
Sean, they're going to make 5 of these movies at the bare minimum.
I know, but I'm not saying that there's not going to be Wario. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not crazy. I'm just saying I'm surprised they didn't tease Wario in this one.
Sean, they're gonna make a Zelda movie. They're gonna make a Metroid movie. They're gonna they're gonna do the Avengers thing, and it's gonna culminate in Super Smash Brothers. And I will bet my life on that. It's gonna happen. They know what they're doing.
Maybe.
Yes, I have some strong evidence to back that claim up in the realm of theme park news. But we'll get to that later.
Okay. Right.
Yes. But remind me, because I do want to go on that tangent for just a little bit, if y'all will indulge me.
Noting.
No, I for sure. I do believe you. I mean, although I do agree that I'm, in terms of being surprised that they kept it in their pants, because they definitely had no ability to control keeping anything in their pants in terms of referencing other Mario material throughout the entire film.
Yeah, I can't get over the fact that you just said kept it in their pants twice.
What's a better expression? I don't actually like that expression. I never
kept
say it, but I couldn't think of...
Keep your stupid
sock.
ideas in your pocket. What? All right.
The little Mario sock. The Mario sock.
Okay. Oh yeah, that one. That's a weird power.
Really hoping for that.
That's a weird one.
The something shoe. It has a name. I forgot.
Yeah, it's a weird name.
Japanese guy's name.
Yeah. Okay.
Stomp 'em shoe.
Rock 'em, stomp 'em, shoes 'em. What? did you guys? What are your initial thoughts and opinions of this film before we start talking about it? And our opinions may evolve and change. Let's start with Ryan. Ryan, I would like to know what you think of this movie as if it's a surprise.
What Mario power-up are your opinions?
They're a let's see. It's the frog suit. It's just, why do you exist?
Well, so if you watch this movie underwater, it would be perfect.
I love the frog suit. It's better than a Tanuki suit. I said it. It's better than the Tanuki suit. A Tanuki suit can go...
If you're underwater, the frog suit is the best.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. If you're underwater.
Okay. But the Tanuki suit is useful. It sounds like you just have some like prejudice based on like its inflated value, perhaps, if I can put it that way.
Are you trying to say that I'm calling it overrated? The phrase that I hate when people use? Yes, I am calling it overrated.
Anyway.
I have hot Tanuki takes here. I wish my takes on the Tanuki suit were... I wish my takes on this movie were as hot as my takes on the Tanuki suit. Anyway, Ryan, what did you think of this movie?
Yeah, okay. So, I did not like this movie. I very much disliked it and thought it was very dumb and bad. That's some third grade language for you there, because that was the majority of the audience of people who will enjoy this movie as suited by their, demographic and corresponding critical opinion.
Well, okay, I mean, you're going to go there and just going to make it about people watching the movie and not just the movie. Ryan, come on.
What?
Sean, what did you think of this movie?
10 out of 10. Perfect movie, no notes.
Oh, okay. There we go. Well, then we have an opposing viewpoint. What did you think of this movie, Sean?
This is going to be a spicy discussion because I did like this movie. But let me say this. Okay, so right now there's Rotten Tomatoes. There's the audience score and there's the critical score. The audience score is like 90-something%. The critic score is like 50-something%, I think, something like that, right?
Critic is 57, audience is 96. It's rare that you see that big of a discrepancy.
Yes. So I will say this: those are both right. That's my sleazy way to cop out of. Well, no, because we're gonna get into it. We're gonna have hot smash Mario Brothers action. I don't know why I had hot at the top of that descriptor, but. It's a movie. Yeah, the movie's dumb. It's not a good movie. It's a bad movie. But I liked it. I was enjoying myself the whole time. So I will not defend this movie in any sort of critical way, but I will. I guess the most I could hope to do is say the things I liked and why I liked them. But I'm not going to pretend to defend that this movie is good in any descriptive sense of the word good.
Okay.
Chewie, what do
Well, I'm not even going to try to call it a movie. Now, look, I really hate to be so curmudgeonly and cynical and just.
That's usually our job.
I'm gonna charge ahead anyway. I've had to, I went through a whole range of emotions before the movie came out. Oh, that looks bad. That looks good. Oh, I'm excited. No, lower my expectations. No, but I'm actually really excited. Now my expectations are really high. And I excitedly told all my students I have tickets for the Mario movie tonight and I'm excited to go see it. And then the whole week after that, every day, Mr. Chewie, what'd you think of the Mario movie? I loved it.
Quiet.
And I'm like,
heads down.
Yeah, because a bunch of my kids went to go see it too, and they all loved this movie. I haven't heard a single high schooler so far tell me that they didn't like the movie. So I had to have some honest conversations about this. Sean, I think you
with your therapist.
I think you put it Well, yeah, I will be. I think you put it really well that these scores are both right. And Ryan, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to say you're stupid if you like this movie. Because I was watching the movie, I was watching it, I was enjoying the things about it that I enjoyed. And then while I was watching it, Maeve leaned over and she said, "Oh God, I hate this movie." And I'm like, and the logical part of my brain was like, "You're right." And the emotional part of my brain was like, come on, I'm doing my best here. Like, you know, when I'm trying to take out of it what I can. I think my biggest problem here is that it is an Illumination film. And that was my biggest red flag going in. And I think that this movie exemplifies everything I hate about that studio. They haven't made a movie I've liked so far. So, I don't know why I thought this would be different. But that's the thing. I'm like, yeah, I did enjoy it. I was never in a bad mood watching it. But then every time I think about it, I get put into a bad mood. I guess because I have to think about it.
So you just need to be perpetually in a state of watching this movie.
Well, no, I guess I just have to not think about it, and that's the.
Oh,
that's,
yes, that's very key.
Yeah,
yes,
it's a series of colorful crisp images played in a sequence, and it's a pile of references, and it's I don't know. Anyway, where do we go from here? I need you guys to tell me what I think of this movie.
So, okay, well, like I said, I'm not going to pretend to defend it. I do think it's going to be a fun discussion because I just
Sean,
feel like I
have something to tell you. We're having that discussion right now. It's not gonna be. We're in it.
Well, okay, so let me say maybe just a broad strokes why I liked it. Aside from, we'll get into specifics in terms of stuff I liked, but maybe the best way to sum it up is that this is a Mario movie in the way that the Sonic the Hedgehog movies were not Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I mean, can you give me a little bit more beef?
So the Sonic the Hedgehog movies were just a movie, a generic movie, not generic in any specifically bad way, just a very generic, like, you know, adventure-ish movie with the main character who happens to be Sonic. They weren't, like, watching that movie did not give me Sonic feels, with rare exceptions. And I feel like in a lot of ways, that's what most video game movies, suck at, is they don't feel like the thing that they are. Even the 93 Mario movie does not feel like Mario, right? Like, there's lots of cool things about that movie, and I don't know if I'd say it's underrated, but maybe underappreciated. It's weird and wacky, but it's not a Mario movie, right? This is a Mario movie. This is the game of Mario. Hey, this is the movie of that. It's not a good movie. There are better Mario movies potentially out there, but I can't think of another video game movie that is that video game as a movie. Does that?
Yeah, no,
I'm
that
not
makes sense.
Using actual articulating sentences.
Because I had, like I said, I had a lot of conversations with my students about this movie, and I have some students who are really into film, and they love coming to talk to me about movies because they know I'm on this podcast. Some of them listen to it, and one of my students came at me, I want to talk about the Mario movie, and he's like, "No, I know, Red. I'm just gonna mention, I know that the story is bad," and I'm like, yes, it was. And but, and I'm like, hang on a second though. And I snap into teacher mode and I go, film is a storytelling medium. I can play any of those Mario games regardless of the story and I'm gonna have a good time. If you're not interested in telling a good story, or a story at all, in this case, why make a movie? And this movie felt to me what I was afraid the Lego movie was gonna be. A commercial.
Oh, that's a good way to put it too.
Yeah. And I had a feeling that we were going to talk about the Sonic movie, a significant amount. But
it's the easiest comparison.
I actually think that the Lego movie is the easiest contrasting movie to talk about this with, because that movie not only gets all the quote references. It's weird to say references for Legos, but like how kids play with Legos and all the random objects that are in your those little touches that are like that they make you feel like a kid and they make you they get the Lego fans and why they like Legos, right? And it also tells a deeper story. It doesn't pander, and it has fleshed out characters who have emotions and arcs and all the things that a movie should have. But this movie does not feel like it was interested in doing that stuff. It made me want to go home and play the games. That's what it made me want to do.
Yes.
And by definition, I feel like that is a commercial.
Well, yeah, I think so. You mentioned the game stories. So the best, quote unquote, best thing you could say about the story in this game is that it is as good. It is on par with all the stories in the Mario games, which is to say that there's no story in those games.
Some of those games have better stories in this movie.
Well, the Mario RPGs are awesome. They have good stories.
But Mario Galaxy ends, spoilers, with the heat death of the known universe and the reset of everybody's entire timeline. So don't talk to me about none of the games have good story or interesting things to do or say.
All right. Well, it has the bare minimum. It has the same story as basically the original Super Mario Brothers. That it's as much of a story as there is in that game. But so I said my big thing about why I liked it. But Ryan, I want to hear more from you because I know you have a lot of thoughts.
Well, okay, so you're kind of saying that this movie felt like a Mario game, or it felt like the Mario IP. And I get that to a certain extent, but because you guys also just got done saying that Mario doesn't have a story, therefore the restrictions that the movie has to get you to make it feel, or get you to feel like it is a Mario product, is certainly less restricted, right? So what would be, or what are the elements that made you feel like this was a Mario product?
Well, obviously all
the visuals, the score.
Okay,
by the way, the score I think was phenomenal for one thing.
Yeah,
the soundtrack.
The
soundtrack terrible. The score excellent.
Agreed.
Agreed with that. So, and that actually is something. Because on the Sonic discussion, Chewie, we talked about how, why don't they use the Sonic music? Like, it's so stupid that these adaptations aren't using the music from the games. And that is something in this that
Mario
I legit think is good. Like, not just something I liked, but legit is good.
I completely agree with that. No, in fact, I have like a whole thing about the soundtrack versus the score and where Sonic fails in that regard. Maybe kind of almost flipped. So in that sense, I guess Mario is more of an aesthetic, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Mario is a blank canvas. Name one Mario game that didn't feel like a Mario game.
Okay.
There isn't one. There isn't one because Mario is a blank canvas. So anything that Mario is, Mario is.
Yeah.
Anything that Mario becomes, Mario is.
Okay, I get what you're saying here, and I don't know if I 100% agree with that. And that's because Mario is he doesn't speak for a reason, you know. And I think I think with this movie, Ryan, I think we agree. I think we're making similar points, but I think I'm coming at this from a different angle. I think that with this movie, if you try to do too many interesting things with it, right? And because Mario is such a blank canvas, it means different things to different people, right? If you try to, if any writer or director, storyboard artist, whatever, tries to do something more interesting, as in decides to not play it safe, you're going to ruffle somebody's feathers, right? Like Princess Peach is both the strong girl boss and the helpless damsel in this movie. Right,
yes,
because if you go one way or the other, somebody's angry, right?
Well, people,
and that's
shockingly, people are angry no matter.
Well, yeah, but that's I think the best example of what I'm trying to say. It is sanitized and it is safe, and that because of that, it is boring. And I think the reason why I didn't actually feel bored is because it covers that up by having a breakneck pace and just constantly throwing things that are happening at you. It doesn't stop.
Agreed.
It never stops.
Yep.
And I think I was having a really good conversation with Maeve on the drive home. She brought up a lot of good points, and her points were basically like things I was thinking but didn't know how to articulate. And so I'm going to give you some examples, and she was a lit major. She has a lit degree. And she was like, okay, why is it that Mario has to do an obstacle course before he can go on the adventure? And she said, what if there was just a couple lines from Princess Peach along the lines of, in order to face Bowser, you must first pass through the gauntlet. It will require you to have such and such skills. You'll need to be able to dodge fireballs and blah, 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 blah. Here, this is our training course, right? We designed it for such purpose. Then you get to have your cake and eat it too. You get to go, oh, hey, the training course is the first level from the original Mario game. That's fun, right? Why do they have to take Rainbow Road? Oh, the only way to get to Bowser's Keep is to find the treacherous Rainbow Road. Unfortunately, some people say it's only a fairy tale or a myth. Nobody's ever actually come back alive to tell the tale, right? Something like that. You play into the infamy of Rainbow Road, right? Everybody has opinions on Rainbow Road. And then when they find it, it's significant, right? Lots of things like that. Things like, why are item blocks a thing in that world, right? Why is anything the way that it is? The movie doesn't care. The answer is because it's that way in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Ryan, to your point, it's an aesthetic. And they nailed the aesthetic. They nailed it, but there's no substance underneath.
Right, exactly. And that's what I'm kind of getting at is, like, for me, one of the reasons why it was not good is that it sort of revealed that to me.
Mm. So in what way? Can you elaborate a little bit?
Because to your exact point is that it made me realize Mario is just an aesthetic. As long as you have those item blocks, as long as you put Mario in a red jumpsuit or overalls, whatever, that meets the criteria for it being a Mario, right?
I think
the reason.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, just like going to the 90s movie, maybe the reason why that didn't feel like a Mario product is because it was live action and they made it quote-unquote real. Mm-hmm. It didn't have any of the visual icons, not really, from the game.
Yeah.
And that's the extent of, if that is the delineation between us identifying the 90s film as a Mario IP versus this film as a Mario IP, that really shows that maybe there's not as much depth to Mario as we thought, or we wish there was. And maybe that's okay. I love Mario games. I've spent many instances talking about Mario on this podcast. But if that's the distinction, because let's be honest, Mario in the review of Mario by Matt, you said the opening is the exact same. Well, guess what? The ending is too.
Yeah, I said that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's as much as Nintendo hates the '90s movie. Oh, they certainly didn't show it when they made this one.
Yeah, well, see,
considering the plots, the storyline is very, very similar.
I want to just detour just real quickly about the opening and the ending, because when the movie started and I saw that they had made the decision to start the movie in the real world, some point before the first act was over, I was like, they better come back to the real world. Bowser and his army better end up in Brooklyn at the end of this movie, because if they don't, I don't care what happens in the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, Mario and Luigi could just at any point piece out of there and go back to their real world, and I don't care about this. And the movie's is not doing a good enough job to make me care about these characters in the Mushroom Kingdom. They're not developing them. We're not getting to spend time with them because everything moves fast. So I'm like, the only way that this thing has stakes is if Bowser and his army ends up in the real world, because we live there, right? And that's what they did. It's the same as with But anyway, yeah, you're right.
Well, sure. I mean, there's no connection between the real world and the Mushroom Kingdom. It's just kind of like a random pipe.
Right.
And I mean, for some reason, there's a leak in Brooklyn that's flooding the whole kingdom. Do they ever solve that? No.
No, they don't. They don't. And that's it's just it's the ultimate example of, we have a checklist of everything we need to put in this movie, but the movie can be 90 minutes, and
well, it was a short movie.
There's just not enough time for everything. So first part is going to be this game, and then we're going to do a scene that's Luigi's Mansion, and then we're going to do a scene that's the Donkey Kong game, and then we're going to do Mario Kart, and then we're going to do this, and it's just there's no more deeper thought put into it than that. So yeah.
Right, and that's kind of my biggest problem with this movie is that there was really no deep thought. I mean, I would argue there was some thought, obviously, put into the movie, and it's a little disappointing because it doesn't need to be. Mario is not known for his epic storylines necessarily, but it's a movie. You have to tell a story, and there was nothing here.
Right.
And I think I have a lot of problems with it, but that's.
Yeah, it's a very thin storyline, and
it's a thin storyline that felt long. I mean, it's a short movie, but it feels long. I mean, compare this to, we haven't talked about Dungeons and Dragons, but that is a long movie runtime.
Oh yeah,
the runtime of that is long, but it is snappy. It feels swift and concise and excellent. This is 40 minutes shorter, but feels twice as long. Well, maybe not twice as long, but it feels longer.
I don't know that think that it felt longer, but I get mostly what you're saying, and I agree with most of what you're saying.
So yeah, I mean, you were saying how, like, if Mario is an aesthetic, right? And I agree with that. It does just kind of make you kind of go back to questions like, well, why do we like the Mario games? And you just saying you do like them, but and like
it's the gameplay.
If it's the gameplay, right? And so the question, is, can there be a good Mario movie? Like, can you make a Mario with a good story? I think yes, of course. I don't think there's anything that's impossible to do. But at the very least, they got that aesthetic right.
Yes.
Like, and this is not a how do I put this? If you're gonna make a bad Mario movie, I would rather it be bad. Well, no, I don't know how to put this, but my point being that, okay, the aesthetic was at least the Mario. So it's at least a Mario movie. Whereas if they like the 90s version, the aesthetic was not Mario.
Correct, right.
And the story was not great anyway. So
sure, yes, agreed.
But like, I'm trying to think of like the inverse. I guess what I'm trying to do is like conjure the inverse. Let's say they made a Mario movie with a great story and great characters and all the stuff that we traditionally think of part of as quality filmmaking, but did not have any Mario aesthetic, or at least not generally speaking. Would I have liked that? I mean, yeah, I would hope I would, right? Just as a film goer, as someone who likes good film, I would. But I think I would be disappointed in its Mario-ness. Does that make any sense?
That makes.
I mean, we're playing with extremes here. Not that things have to.
And they would never make that movie. So of course it's a very big hypothetical if. But yes, that does make sense to me. And you asked or Ryan asked somewhere in there, is there a version of this movie that's good? I think that there's a version of this movie that's significantly better. And I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier. I think Illumination Entertainment is a big reason why it isn't. And
I agree. I very much agree.
And I think, like I was saying when I was discussing this with Maeve about how she was looking for all the little things. We were like, we should tell. I told her we should tell your parents to go see this movie, who are old and haven't played a single video game in their entire lives. They know nothing about Mario. I just want them. I want to tell them to go see it, just to report back and tell me what they thought of the movie, because I think all those little things that Maeve was looking for, and then I started looking for. It's the segment we call questions we shouldn't be asking. But why is anything? What's the meaning or the purpose of why anything is the way that it is? And if they just added 10 minutes to the runtime and use those 10 minutes to add a minute to 10 different scenes and explain, and I picked a random number, but explain 10 different things in the movie and explain this is why this is the way this is in the world, right? Like the why Rainbow Road or the why the obstacle course type of thing. You would at least feel like you're watching a movie, right?
Yeah.
And if you could give Mario a slightly better character arc than I Want to Win My Dad's Approval, which is now the go-to character arc. See our Strange World episode. yeah, if you give him anything, if you're going to do live action, or not live action, but you're going to do real world story and then transform to the Mushroom Kingdom, what's the equivalent of that in the Mushroom Kingdom? How does what he does there relate to his overall story arc? These are basic things. These are basic screenwriting 101 things. And they could have at least got a passing grade with this critically, I feel like.
Right, I completely agree. Like, that whole concept with Mario's character, he doesn't really have an arc. I mean, you did a good job of actually giving it a lot of doing justice to what they did have, in that, trying to earn his father's approval and that kind of thing. But his big thing is throughout the film, he's constantly being told, "Oh, Mario, you don't know when to give up, or you push too hard, or something like that."
Right.
But that's never challenged, and it's never like his Achilles' heel. It's never expounded upon in any way. In the climax of the movie, he's confronting Bowser in Brooklyn in the street, and he has a moment of weakness in the pizza shop or whatever it is, and I am left wondering. I do not know why he's having a moment of self-doubt. He has never had a moment of self-doubt in the entire movie up until this point. They have not established his character as to what it is what is the lie he believes? What's holding him back? What is his internal struggle that he must overcome?
Yeah, well, you know what? They actually had the answer sitting there right in front of them, and they didn't take it. It's that, oh, now my dad's watching. And if they had actually tied that together and been like, oh, you know what? The person who I am trying to impress is actually the person who's holding me back. Right? If they had played with that and drew that conclusion, cool, okay, that's at least something.
It is at least something, and if I had been given that, I would have been like, okay, it's not super original, it's not super innovative, whatever. But it's something. It's at least something for Mario to overcome and go through. Maybe not the only character, but Luigi's arc is a little more interesting, right? I mean, it's still bad, but he at least has this thing where he's always the little brother, right? Where Mario's always having to stick up for him, right?
Yeah.
And we spend a good 20 minutes in the beginning of the film with Luigi and Mario, which was a pleasant surprise to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, this is a Mario and Luigi movie.
Yeah.
Until it isn't. Until they write Luigi out of the movie for the next hour.
Yeah, he's trapped in a cage for the entire middle act.
Yes.
And the first half of the third act.
Yeah, so a complete waste of that character. Until again, well, whatever, he comes back at the end. He does stick up, right? He sticks up for his brother, right? That's a good moment. I like that moment. That's cool. They say, their thing is, oh, we're better when we're together, right? They have some thing like that, right? They say, but I mean, despite the fact that Mario's been doing just swell without Luigi.
Yeah.
So it's one-sided, okay? So that's not great. It's definitely less invested in their brothership. So Luigi's arc, I guess that's just what that is, right? He learns to stick up, and I guess for himself, for his brother. I don't know. I just think there was a lot of opportunity there that they didn't explore. I mean, that was the extent of it. Luigi sits in a cage for half the movie.
Yeah. So this was my biggest, so it's not my biggest criticism, but it's my biggest story issue, and it's something that you were saying, it's like, you guys, this was a first draft. Like, I could almost picture myself reading this and going, oh, good first draft, here are my notes, and they're significant, and it's like, they're obvious things. I think you guys know about this stuff probably yourselves. You as the writers, you probably know about this stuff, and you're probably planning on fixing some of these things, but here are my notes, here's like this. So anyways, the biggest thing, though, is so... To me, the dad stuff I appreciate. I think that potentially could have worked. But I think what you were saying, Ryan, just now is the stuff that, to me, was what the film should have been the whole time. It's a Mario Brothers movie. It's, and that is that relationship. They end the movie as if like that relationship had been
developed
somehow, like constantly explored throughout this movie,
right,
when it had not at all. It was just like, oh, we're better together. Oh, was that a question up until now? I didn't know. Like, oh, thanks for answering that. So my pitch, or my rewrite is the first act of the movie plays out pretty much the same. Maybe you draw a little bit more of the differences between Luigi and Mario. Mario being someone who doesn't give up and is constantly, and Luigi being a little bit more timid and just like, I don't know, right? So you start drawing these characters with a little bit more identity. And then in the first the first half of the movie, the second act, when they get into the Mushroom Kingdom, don't separate Mario and Luigi, you idiots. What are you doing?
Correct.
Why are you separating Mario and Luigi?
Yeah.
One, have them together. Have the initial call to action, their agenda, their goal being something like, oh, this star, Bowser's going to get the star and he's going to conquer the world. And Mario being like, oh, we got to help them. And Luigi being, what? What? That has nothing to do with us. We can't do this. And so again, you're drawing these characters, compare the differences and similarities between the two, and you're drawing them apart so that the first half of the film, they're still together. They're still doing those little adventure-y little scenarios together, and there's still more interaction. It isn't until halfway through the movie, maybe after the Donkey Kong scene or something like that, where Mario and Luigi have a huge argument or falling out. And then Luigi, because Luigi's like, Mario, what are you doing? We're going to get killed in this just because you have this pride that you can't give up. And Mario's like, oh, you're always afraid, Luigi. You've always held me back. Right? Oh my God, drama between Mario and Luigi. That would be so awesome.
My God.
And now you have Luigi go off on his own, and then you have the same stuff happen to Luigi, but instead of him sitting in the movie for an hour doing nothing, he's been doing stuff the first hour. So then the stuff where he's in the cage, it's now a shorter part of the film. Like, it's only going to be 20, 30 minutes, and those scenes could still play out almost identically. And those scenes I enjoy. And Luma's in the cage and all this, the penguins and stuff like that. And it's about him doubting himself, and you have actually, maybe a little better character stuff with him. But then when they come together at the end, and Luigi does step in to save Mario, and so like, oh, there's catharsis. There's an actual conclusion to these. And then when they say we're better together, and they team up with the superstar, it is even more like, it's not just like cool because it's reminding you of the game, which I'm not going to lie, I love that sequence because it was but it would have the emotional payout of this movie itself.
Yeah. Right? And my little script doctor part to the end, what I was saying, where Mario, he won't give up. Well, his arc at the end is that he needs to learn when to step back and let Luigi take charge, right? And that would have paid, because then it's like, well, that the movie keeps presenting this issue, like it's an issue that Mario can't give up, but that's only served him well, right? And so Sean, like dovetailing that in with what you're saying, like that would be a great little character moment where Mario does need to like relax and let something slide and let Luigi take charge or whatever. I actually have a whole nother script doctor thing I want to do with Peach later.
But I want to add on to this script doctor.
Please do.
Because everything you guys, everything you've said, both of you, about this version of the movie, yes. And I would like to add, if I may go back to the Lego movie, and the writers understanding how kids interact with Mario and what it is that they like about it. Mario's been around forever, and the target audience for the Mario games have always been kids and teenagers, and even Gen Zs in their early 20s. When they were kids, they would have been playing the Mario games like New Super Mario Brothers and all the ones that are co-op, the ones where I played this with my youngest sister when she was younger, where you can work together. You can jump on someone's head to boost up and get the big coin, or you can say, okay, you get in the bubble and I'm going to do this hard platforming power and then I'll pop you. You can work together, or you can screw each other over, right? And or you can just fight the whole time and then accomplish nothing and throw the controller and stop playing, right? Explore that and take that and write that into the subtext of this script. Right? That still fits with everything that you guys pitched, but it could also be the analogy to how do we play these games? How do kids interact with those games when it's co-op and you're both working towards the same goals, but you have radically different play styles or whatever it is, you know? That God, it's so obvious.
Yeah, no, that would, yeah, exactly. And again, it even goes, we're better together. We're better when we're working together, and like all that stuff still works. And just a little note, obviously we script doctor and do all the stuff often in these episodes, in these episodes and stuff. I think maybe a listener going, oh, guys, that's not what this movie, you're overthinking it. That's not what these movies, it's just a fun movie. One, I agree with you because I like this movie, but I will say, it's not a choice between the two. You can have both. And that's what I think is the point, is that like there's no excuse for doing the bare minimum. There is no everything that people who like this movie, everything that they like about this movie can still exist with a movie with a good story and good characters.
Yes, that is an excellent point, especially because I've been seeing all these think pieces about how in response to this movie, people are thinking that Rotten Tomatoes is an awful website and that the role in society of the film critic should be eliminated because they are no, I'm not kidding. I've read these think pieces.
No, I know, but I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at
all these
society.
questions. Are film critics obsolete? Do we need them? It's like, I hate that because it perpetuates this wave of anti-intellectualism that has been permeating our society about how it's bad to be educated and it's bad to think about things, you know?
Do you watch Big Joel? Do you watch that YouTuber?
I don't know Big Joel, but I'm going to check him out.
Oh, you should. Oh, you would love him. But he has another channel called Little Joel where he just does daily minute videos, and they're all great. They're mostly ridiculous and silly and stupid. But one was just like him saying like you saying the critics are wrong legitimizes the if you like this movie, like the movie. Why does it matter if the critics don't? If you really don't think the critics matter, then why are you complaining about the critics? You obviously think the critics matter. You just want your opinion to be elevated to their thing. Well, it's this paradoxical, oxymoronic idea that if someone is critical of something that I like, that opinion is not valid, but I still must somehow bring myself up to their level. It's like
right.
It's
like if.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna. I mean, if the critics are somehow blocking your ability to view the movie, then okay, there's an argument to be made. But has anyone's opinion ever stopped you from enjoying something or viewing something or participating
they just want to be validated?
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. So
there's a lot of fragile ego going on with this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sure.
Also, I find it very hilarious. Are critics needed? In our society? Well, it's not like they're a government institution.
Right.
They're mandated.
They put their stamp on it and go, I declare this is a bad movie and my take is right and it cannot be argued with. And
if I do this, that means everyone must are prohibited from seeing it and paying more taxes if they do so.
I use this comparison with my kids when we talk about criticizing things and whatever. It's like, okay, I can enjoy going to a 5-star restaurant and having a really fancy meal that's cooked with precision and care, and the people who made it are educated and they've practiced their whole lives. They know all the science behind food. They know all of the techniques. They know how to not overcook or undercook meat. All that stuff, right? All the technical things that makes you a good cook. I can enjoy that meal. I can also go enjoy a crappy fast food meal where the person who made it is an underpaid 17-year-old who hastily threw pickles from across the room onto the bun and smashed a gross blob of mayonnaise on. I can enjoy that too. I'm not going to say that that's a good meal, but I can enjoy it. There are movies like that are the equivalent of that I enjoy, and I'm not apologetic for that. I enjoy them, but
that's a perfect example because that's kind of how I feel about this movie. I'm not going to pretend that it's a good movie or say or claim it's a movie. And like I said, those critics are right, but I like the taste of crappy fast food sometimes. And for whatever reason, and a lot of times I don't. Don't get me wrong.
Sometimes I'm not in the mood for it. I eat gas station food sometimes, and sometimes that's exactly what I want to eat. That crap, that smashed, shriveled up hot dog that's been sitting in the warmer for 6 hours and they were supposed to throw it away because they put a label on it that says throw away at this time, but they haven't, and they still sell it to me. Sometimes that hits the spot, and that's exactly what I'm craving.
Or moldy turkey jerky.
Well, I'll have you know that I threw the rest out once I discovered that mold spot.
Aww.
Yeah, mentally,
can't say mad at you.
Mentally, I just couldn't handle that situation anymore. But
So
Anyway,
sorry to interrupt. I wanted to. So we talked about obviously the story stuff, and all that stuff is legitimately like, yeah, that's not good. But I think the thing that I disliked more than even the bad story, because the bad story didn't necessarily detract from the aesthetical nature of what I liked about the show. But what I did think was just like, you're showing your hand, you idiots, you stupid idiots, and by they I mean Illumination. And then that is the needle drops in this. Oh my god, that was the worst part.
If you're an animated comedy, you can't use Holding Out for a Hero. Shrek 2 already did that, and no animated kids movie is ever gonna do Holding Out for a Hero better than the ending of Shrek 2. All right, that's just one of a list of examples from this movie of why all the needle drops are bad. But continue.
The only one that kind of skates by is the Beastie Boys Brooklyn Don't No Stop Till Brooklyn. That one felt like okay, maybe that would work a little bit better than the rest of them. And this the worst one to me, the one that just vomited over everything, is the Aha Take on Me.
Yeah.
And as someone who loves that song, who doesn't love Take
rolling
on Me?
My eyes
it's just like
and
universally,
cringing,
everyone loves that song. But I was like, why? What? Why are you playing that here? What is happening? Why is this song playing right now?
The one I hated more was AC/DC Thunderstruck for the Mario Kart sequence. Like, come on.
The Mario Kart,
anyway, sorry to interrupt.
So what it is, it's just like, okay, again, they, by which I mean Illumination, the nebulous people at Illumination, whoever it is. It's like, okay, we know pop songs are popular, and everyone loves, Holding Out for a Hero. Everyone loves Take on Me. So we just put it in there. So it's like, what's your favorite food? I like cheese. I don't know, whatever. I like cheese. Oh, cool. Okay, so let's put some cheese on your pizza. Ooh, let's put some cheese on your broccoli. That's good. Let's put some cheese on your pasta. Yeah, right. How about some cheese on your cereal? How about cheese on your banana, right? You like cheese, don't like you? Eat the cheese! Like
Ryan at a self-serve froyo place.
It's just like, yeah, that song is great, but don't put it in everything. It makes me not like it more. It makes me not like cheese more when I'm eating cheese in my cereal. I don't want it.
I mean, you raise a good point. I should put cheese on my froyo.
When are they going to release a cheese-flavored froyo? Yes, I agree. Yeah, but Holding Out for the Hero, that was pretty early in the movie. And when that happened, I was like, oh no. Because...
Well, yeah, so I have a fun story. So I saw the movie with Chris, our old podcaster, Chris, friend. And right before the movie starts... I turn to him and I say, how many inappropriately placed pop songs do you think there's going to be in this movie? And he looks at me like, oh, Ryan, give them more credit. There's so much excellent Mario music that they can pull from. There's no need to delve the depths of inappropriately placed pop song. I mean, he didn't say it quite like that, but basically he's like, look, there's plenty of Mario music. Why would they do that? And I was like, oh, okay, you're right, Chris. And then I was like, no, you're not.
That's anytime you say you're right, Chris, there's
as soon as like the Universal logo comes up, he turns to me, he's like, oh crap, they're gonna have one right off the bat, aren't they? And I was like, uh-huh. And every time a pop song came on in the movie, we just turned and looked at each other and just started gagging. Yeah,
it is such a shame because the rest of the music is so good. It's exactly what I want from a score from a Mario movie.
I thought the exact same
Mario,
thing.
I feel like, is one of those few things that's truly timeless. So why would you do that? You don't have to do you're dating it just by default. Yeah. And
they actually did a pretty decent job of not dating it with like references in the dialogue as much as like, the worst style Illumination / DreamWorks type of stuff. They actually didn't really have too many of that stuff, but then the dumb needle drop hits and you're like, so yeah, it's frustrating. Oh, also as with the score, the excellent score, I did appreciate all the sound effects too. I this is kind of dabbling into the nostalgic aesthetic, just like dopamine hits. But I thought I want awesome, cool the sound effects from the Mario games, and so I appreciated that.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, I think those felt more in place, like they felt more organic to the Mushroom Kingdom, that world that they had built or that they were in. I think to a certain point, though, though because those feel organic and in world, all the other references to the Mario IP felt so overindulgent, and they were just constantly inundating you with those references to the point where it felt like, okay, this is no longer being cute and clever. This is almost insulting now. That like, hey, did you get it? Did you get? There's a duck hunt sign. Did you get the duck hunt? There's Punch Out. Did you see the Punch Out? Oh, did you see when he went to the sewers and it started playing the music and it said level 1, 2 on the sign? Did you see, guys?
I had a guy who was in his 20s sitting right next to me in the theater where every single time a reference happens, he literally pointed at the screen and said what it was from.
It was the Leo
what a delight
meme,
for
just
you.
like constantly
Like,
for him.
Mario 3 music. Oh, this. Oh, that. I'm like, I wanted to be like, yes, I know.
It's a
Everybody
Mario
has
movie,
played
you
Mario.
idiot. Of course.
Everybody has played it. Stop.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't truly like a negative, or I sold that pretty strong in terms of being. It was just kind of eye rolling. It's like,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pretend it didn't work. I wasn't calling it out, pointing to it.
No, but I
like a schlub. But most of those references, like they brought a smile, like and it wasn't even like the Punch Out and the signs in the background. Not so much that stuff, but the stuff that really worked for me. And I feel like it is maybe slightly elevated above those kind of more cynical, just like, look at this thing, is like when they're running and Mario puts out his hands. Like, I was like, oh, yeah! I don't know why, but that to me was like, okay, cool. Like, they know Mario enough. I mean, it sounds like, oh, they really studied Mario. I was like, no, but those are the small touches where they should be in the game. It shouldn't be something we have to point to and go, Easter egg. It's not an Easter egg. It's just like,
that's
Mario.
That's
That's
Mario.
how it should be.
things
Yeah.
that...
And so I like those. Those are the things I like that did not feel like just reference for reference sake. It felt like, oh yes, they're taking how Mario moves in the games and they're putting that into the screen.
I think I
That's
feel
great.
more
I like
closely
that.
to Sean's take on the references than Ryan's, and it's the kind of stuff that I wish the Sonic movies had more of.
Yeah,
And,
that's what I mean. Is like when I want a Sonic movie, I want those.
And
things.
Ryan,
I
you're
don't
being
need,
mad at
like,
references. Yeah. I get that mad. I don't want to say mad. I don't know about mad because it feels silly to waste that kind of energy on movies. But like Solo, the Star Wars movie, like, oh, that's how he got his gun. Someone handed it to him. Like,
right.
Those are to me the worst kind of fan service references where it's just like, here's the thing, like, oh, cool, nobody asked, but Mario, like, yeah, look at all these they're more like details, but Mario should have that, just like how Sonic should have the music and all these other things.
I like that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where I'm coming
Attention
from.
to detail.
Where, yeah, like I think a lot of these references to me did feel like the Solo references, where it's like, okay. I mean, luckily most of it was kind of just background noise, and that's fine. Like I said, it didn't actually necessarily detract from the movie or whatever. It just, at some point, it was kind of like, okay, guys, like, chill a little bit on that stuff. Save something for the sequel.
I can see that, and I definitely feel like this is one of those movies where somebody's already made a YouTube video that has all 500 references in the Mario movie, and I'm sure if I watched that, I'd be like, wow, I picked up like 50 of those.
Yeah, how many YouTube thumbnails have red circles? Here's what you missed from the Mario movie with the red circle and an
so
arrow.
Ryan, I can see your point, but I don't, and I do think that there were things like that were more like along the Solo style references, but Sean, I think that for the most part, most of them worked for me. And if it was, and that's the kind of stuff wouldn't bother me at all if the deficiencies in this movie were, were picked up and they were better. I'm trying to think of like some other things that felt like. So one of the things I have a whole other
I guess
topic to talk about, but if you guys can keep going, no, that's all right.
Yeah.
Well, this is sort of adjacent to this topic, but I think maybe the most egregious thing, although again it's debatably a separate topic, but just the inclusion of the character voiced by the Charles Martinet character.
Which character was it?
He was he was in the beginning of the movie when they're at the pizzeria. After they're done watching the video, it kind of cuts to the pizzeria or whatever, and he's kind of on the arcade machine, and he speaks with a very strong Italian accent.
Oh, okay.
He says something very Mario-esque.
Yeah.
So they put that in because he is the Mario voice actor. So they went to the lengths of creating a character for that guy just to have his include his voice.
Yeah.
Right? But at that point, it's not an homage. It's not a reference. It's not respectful. It becomes to the point where it's actually insulting and a little disrespectful to him because, insulting is probably too strong of a word, but it just, the idea that like, oh, that's a taste of what we could have gotten.
Yeah. Well,
darn.
Well, Ryan.
And a little bit of a slap in the face to Charles because it's like, hey, we went with this big hotshot celebrity instead of someone who knows what they're doing. And I don't actually mean that as an insult to Chris, because Chris is Chris. He's fine. But again, Charles, he's the
mine.
man, right?
So I'm really glad that you brought that up, actually, because it's a perfect segue. I want to talk about the voice acting. And just in general, I feel very strongly that voice actors should have more roles in animation, in big budget animated movies. Because
agreed.
Voice actors, as you all know, you guys have all been to Cartoon Voices panel at Comic-Con X number of times. They're very, very talented, and they're very good at doing different voices. They're not just Chris Rock and Ben Stiller in Madagascar just being Chris Rock and Ben Stiller, right? It's not just that. They are very, very talented. So, and that's one of the areas where I've always thought Pixar excelled, because they're... DreamWorks was the first one to be really guilty of this, and Illumination just following suit, where you can see the trailer, and it always ends with one of those screens where it just stacks a bunch of names.
Oh yeah,
I hate that. That puts me that sours me on the movie before I even see it. If that trailer has that type of an ending, where I'm like, okay, that just means they know that the movie just needs a reason to get the parents to come and see it, interested enough to want to take their kids. There's not going to be anything else for the adults. But hey, I know that actor, and it's fun.
Imagine if we use that same logic for others. And it's not the same, I admit that, but just like, animated by Chris Rock and Ben Stiller, like all any other discipline, you recognize this name, right? Well, look, he's doing the special effects. But it's Ben Stiller did the special effects. I gotta go see that movie. Like, why do they think we care?
Going back to your cooking analogy, this steak was cooked by Chris Rock. Does he know how to make steak? No, he burnt it.
But it was cooked by Chris Rock, and I think that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna pay $100 for that meal. That's actually still a really good analogy. I think that just in general, voice actors deserve more work. And they deserve more credit for the work that they do, because it's one of those things that I think general public doesn't understand how hard they work. That being said, my absolute favorite thing about this movie was Jack Black as Bowser. Hands down,
100% agree.
I loved it. I have no notes. Perfect. And part of that is it, like, and Maeve said the same thing. She said this is the role he was born to play, and that was her biggest compliment to the movie. But he is voice acting. He's acting. He is acting.
Yeah.
Yes,
he's acting. It's like a perfect blend of Jack Black. Like, that's a character, that's a celebrity. When you see that, like, okay, I know I'm getting a personality with that, right?
Yeah.
Like, not that other actors don't have personalities per se, but it's like, I like that thing that Jack Black delivers with a role. But I don't want it just to be Jack Black. Okay, what does he do? He's not just Jack Black.
He's Bowser.
He's Bowser, and he's an awesome version of Bowser. He's like the culmination of everything you want. Like, Bowser is always just like this silly, like, trying to be like big and scary and conquery, but he's also just like constantly, he wants to marry Peach, and he's like a softie. Like, it reminds me all like the best Bowser games of like Mario RPG and Superstar Saga and Paper Mario and like, and even, Mario Odyssey and the mainstream ones, there's that element to Bowser, and I thought that it was perfectly captured.
It's not, I was everybody had big opinions about the voice cast when it was announced months ago, And I was even skeptical about Jack Black because I pictured it, it's going to be Jack Black's voice from School of Rock coming out of Bowser's face, and I don't want that, So, I actually was surprised by after seeing the movie, what my opinions of the voice actors were. I went in knowing, okay, it's Illumination, just like DreamWorks. Yeah. They're stacking it with celebrity talent. Yeah. Fine. I'm going to try to swallow that and accept that before I watch the movie. I was not bothered by Chris Pratt.
Actually, to tell you the truth, I actually kind of liked him. Like, the slight Brooklyn accent was good for me. Both him and Charlie Day. Again, I'm not saying they were great, but they definitely were not negative, in my opinion, of the film. They were like, I like
part
these
of the
guys.
reason why I didn't say I liked Chris Pratt. I wasn't bothered by him, and I think the reason why is because Mario is he doesn't speak in the games. He very, very little. He doesn't have much of a personality. Yeah. He's just Mario. He's a stand-in for the player. Yeah. And the character in the movie is not very fleshed out, so it's appropriate that he has a non-offensive, bland nothingness of a voice. It's fine. I never thought about it. Yeah. I never thought about the fact that it was Chris Pratt throughout the movie. Now, another hot take I have, I think my least favorite voice actor was Charlie Day. Yeah.
Oh, really? I actually enjoyed this.
I don't, and maybe it's just because I've watched through Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I've watched through the whole series probably a dozen times. That's probably not an exaggeration. And I can't, it's just Charlie Day. Like, it is what I thought Bowser or Jack Black was. I see Mario, but I hear Charlie Day, and I can't suspend my disbelief. It just doesn't... He's performing, but he sounds like himself, and it was too distracting. So, in a way, in a really cynical way, I didn't mind that he was sidelined for a lot of the movie, because every time he was speaking and doing things, I'm like, oh, hey, Charlie Day dressed as Luigi. So, yeah, I'm probably in the minority there, but
Yeah, I mean, I did like Charlie Day, but I'm not going to begrudge someone if it didn't work for them. The one, my least favorite was Seth Rogen, and I don't even, blame Seth Rogen, and I think to an extent even Charlie Day and Chris Pratt kind of fall into this category. Like, they cast them like this is what you're getting, but it didn't feel like, to me, Seth Rogen felt like he wasn't even trying to do anything. Where I liked Chris Pratt. I didn't love him, but I liked him. I thought he was doing a little something. Same with Charlie Day. With Seth Rogen, I didn't even feel like that. I felt like, it's Seth Rogen, whatever. His voice actually kind of is a weird kind of Donkey Kong that kind of fits, I suppose. But I just wish he did just a slight, do something monkey.
Yeah, I mean, he openly, I mean, he's stated that, like, he said they wanted him for the role, and he said, look, I'm not a voice actor. Yeah. If you want to cast me, I'm going to just do Seth Rogen.
Right.
And they cast him anyway. And I think that kind of goes back to a lot of what we've been saying about, one, Illuminations, and then just casting...
Yeah, a voice actor's...
The name. You're casting the name.
A voice actor
You're not casting the talent.
Is going to think, what does this character sound like? And then go, how do I make that voice? How do I make my voice sound like that? That being said, Seth Rogen didn't bother me. I guess...
Yeah, he actually didn't bother me
I guess because I don't, in my head, know what Donkey Kong is supposed to sound like.
I get that is a good point, because I can't really picture a voice for Donkey Kong in the same way that I kind of can for other characters, so I wasn't sure what he would have sounded
also,
like.
Also, Seth Rogen is...
go
ahead.
I was just going to say, case in point for Sean, another ape's voice that we don't know what it sounds like is Cranky Kong, who, Fred Armisen, I don't know, I thought he did pretty good. That's like, okay, all right, I can see how that's what Cranky Kong could sound like. You tried. You did something at all.
I'll give Seth Rogen a little bit of credit, just because when I think Seth Rogen, he's usually slower paced. He's usually not yelling and screaming and as energetic as he was as Donkey Kong.
That's true.
Donkey Kong required him to bring more energy to what his normal performances would be in anything else. So it did feel like a different Seth. It sounded just like Seth Rogen, but I don't feel like that any roles he's played, or many roles he's played, has required him to be loud and energetic and screamy and rambunctious monkey man. I think that from a cynical, conceptual standpoint, Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach is the worst casting, because
she didn't do much.
She didn't do much.
It's just who's the it girl right now. Who do people know? adults watch that drug chess show. Okay. We could put her name in the.
I mean, I think she was fine. I think her voice naturally sounds fine.
It's fine.
Like Peach doesn't really have that distinct of a voice anyway, so it's like, okay, whatever.
Well, Peach does, but it's kind of hard to do that voice as a real character.
Yeah.
Actually, it's very high and wispy. And I don't want a Peach to actually sound like that. That's
exactly, right? Like, that's not something you could... Just like I don't actually want Mario to sound like, it's a me, I'm Mario!
No, that's maybe a bit extreme,
right? Like, no one wants that either. But so after Jack Black, though, my runner-up would be Keegan-Michael Key. I thought he actually was a really
I
good
did
Toad.
like Toad.
He was
Toad
fun.
was pretty good.
I didn't... No,
you didn't like it.
I will say I
like
love how widely different all of our takes on the voice acting are. I'm glad that we brought this up.
Except for Jack Black.
We all agreed on Jack Black, so he wins.
On that, if we can, all of us agree on one thing: is Jack Black was the MVP of this movie.
Yeah.
Give
I mean,
give Bowser his own movie. You know that Illumination is going to milk this just like they milked the Minions franchise.
Yeah.
To the point where it's not even Despicable Me anymore. Also, I'm making a prediction because we were script doctoring earlier, and you were suggesting like, still put Louis. Still.
Oh yeah, you had another thing that you were going to tweet.
Well, no, I was just going to say that because you in your version of the story, Luigi spends time in a cage, but less time. That means we get fewer Luma jokes, because at first I'm like, yeah, I love this Luma character. But then, what did they do to Luma? The same thing they did with Minions, they ran the joke into the ground. I am predicting that in the next Mario movie, we're going to see hundreds of Lumas.
Bunch of them? Yep. 100%. 100% this is going to happen.
Yes. Yep. And they're going to be the minions of this series. They're going to incorporate... Yeah. What's her face from Galaxy into this series, so that they have an excuse to put more Lumas in this movie, in the sequel.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't mind Luma. I liked Luma, the whole thing, even though you're right, they didn't change the joke. It was the same joke and over, but it worked on me for the most part. But I agree, I do not want a whole movie with more Lumas doing the exact same thing. Also, I just they should have done. Luigi should have had something to do in the cage.
Stand by for
with the Luma.
The spin-off series Luma's The Rise of Rosalina. Okay,
Ooh,
that's
so the sequel is going to have Rosalina and Wario. I think there's a way you could get a Wario and Rosalina into the sequel that like that. There's a new protagonist, a new
save Wario for the third one, so that at the end of the second one we can see him in that cryo tube. Unearthed under the
Well, did you said you had a script?
Okay, so
right?
Let's get into. I would say
let's
get. My thing is, let's get into Peach a little bit. So Peach overall, I think she was actually pretty good. I did like that they took it with like, okay, she's a strong character. She's not being rescued. She is, she's confident, secure, dominant in her kingdom. She's the one teaching Mario the ropes. All those things are good. But one of the things I thought that we could have done with the movie is, so in the games, Peach always gets captured, right? So, and they didn't want to do that here, and I get that. But here's what I think they could have done. They let Peach gets captured halfway through the movie after bringing Mario on the adventure to start off with, right? Maybe they're on their way to Bowser. Maybe they're on the way to the DK. Country, DK Country, Donkey Kong Country. She gets captured, and now Mario he has to rescue her, right? He's like, oh shoot, that's my new mission. I gotta go rescue Peach, because that's the audience, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna subvert those expectations. Peach has now been captured, and she finds Luigi there, right? She now meets Luigi, and what does she do with all those prisoners? She organizes a breakout. She organizes a prison break. That way, Luigi, who is captured, isn't spending the entirety of the movie in the jail cell. And this dovetails nicely, Sean, with your script doctor as well, where this is how Luigi gets out. Is that they manufacture a jailbreak. This puts Peach in charge and gives her a lot of agency towards what's happening, as opposed to what I thought they did with her character was very... double-faced, double-handed. What's the thing? Where they present her as a strong character, yet anytime there is a call to action or someone needs to do something, it's Mario who steps up, despite the fact it makes no sense for Mario to be the person doing it.
I have an add-on to the script doctor. Okay, so
go.
Mario and Luigi are coming along for the ride. Peach is clearly in charge. The thing that instigates Mario and Luigi's falling out is that Peach gets captured. And then they argue, look,
Yeah,
if you
there
hadn't
you go.
blah, blah, blah,
Ah,
blah,
I
blah,
like
blah,
that.
then the princess would be here. But, well, if you hadn't, then you're always holding me back, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. By now,
Yeah.
Peach has spent some time in Bowser's Keep in the ship, and then they split off, and then later on, Luigi gets captured, sees Peach in the dungeon, then they organize the break. Oh my god, it wasn't
Right?
even hard. We wrote
And-
such a better
Yeah,
movie.
there's
It wasn't
so
even that hard.
there's-
And through this, I think this is how maybe Luigi also gains a lot of confidence in himself. In that he's able to achieve something without Mario holding his hand, without Mario being there,
Mhm.
right? He's able to kind of fill in that too. So anyway, obviously a lot of script doctoring doesn't mean much. This is not what happened in the movie, but it would have been so much more genuine, I think.
Yeah.
When why does Peach need Mario at
Yeah.
all?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the so going back to kind of what you're saying about Mario's arc, and this is kind of tangentially, but just related to that is that it just the whole time I'm thinking like, okay, just give me the loosest of reasons why Mario is the guy. Just give me
Yes.
the loosest of justifications why he is
here
special
and-
enough,
yeah.
or why he's a hero, and why not just like anyone who happened to fall down the tube, and maybe it is just anyone who fell down the tube. I mean, that's a little bit more cynical and more, I think, layered thematic idea to deal with. But I don't know, just what about why? I guess he doesn't give up. I don't know.
But
I don't know.
the
It just
thing
felt
is,
like
as soon as
nothing. There was
Mario
nothing there.
Mario arrives in the castle, Peach immediately starts talking to him and just decides, okay, you're the guy. We're gonna go do this.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Wait. Hold
yeah.
on. So not to get too much into this, but there's 20 seconds of footage or 30 seconds where my brain blacked out the conversation between Peach and Mario. If you go back and watch the movie, nothing makes sense for 30 seconds. Your brain turns to mush. And the dialogue is written by two separate writers in two separate rooms, and the voice actors record their lines in two separate rooms. Nothing makes sense for 30 seconds, but somehow they decide that Peach and Mario are going to go do a thing. Peach, first thing Peach says to Mario, "Are you a human?" Why does Peach ask Mario if he's a human?
Oh, I just thought of another analogy to 1993 live action Mario. Peach was an orphan who ended up in the mush.
Oh yeah.
And they even give us the driplets of Peach's backstory, where she's like, the first memory I have is arriving in the Mushroom Kingdom. Then how do you know what a human is? How do you know
why does it
you're
matter?
a human?
How is it relevant in
matter?
any way?
And that is the more important question. How does that matter? What does that mean? Why did she ask that as her first question?
Yeah.
What is anything?
So that whole sequence. So the other thing too is that whole sequence is just clearly just like the kind of the call to action, but it was like you said, it was like there were writers in a different room, or as a first draft, or maybe like a fourth draft where they just cobbled together bits and pieces of previous drafts, and it ended up making less sense than anything they had written previously. I don't know, because what you needed to have is Mario and Luigi show up, and Peach is like, "Who are you guys? What? Like, we don't need like." You think you could help us? And Mario's like, yeah, because he has this thing on his shoulder about no one thinks he could do anything in the real world, right? And it's like, yes, we could do it, Luigi. We could be the guys. We could do this, right? Look how good we are. We could prove it to her. And Peach's like, I don't know. Like, why do you think? And Luigi's like, yeah, I don't know, Mario. I don't think we can do this. And there's a reason. They have to prove themselves. There's an obstacle course. Okay, you pass the obstacle course. I guess you're good enough to come. Like there's reasons for things to happen in a different version of this script.
And that's what this movie's lacking, is reasons for anything. Why does Mario need to accomplish the obstacle course?
And exactly, and I just pitched that earlier because there would be. Why do they call them power-ups?
Yeah, so all of that stuff. Part of me thinks like I'm glad they didn't try to make some sort of like explain everything away. In fact, there's a line when they first get to the Mushroom Kingdom and Toad's showing Mario around, and they're walking through Toad Town. And there's like floating bricks, and Mario's like, floating blocks? That was perfect. That's all I need. Right? Like, in this world, there's floating blocks. But then they didn't do enough on some other things. So my point being that, like, I don't want them to explain everything in some sort of logical, scientific way. Like, why are there question mark blocks that do, like, what is the reason? Like, I don't want that, but I want them to acknowledge it more than it being a video game. Like, I mean, does that make any sense?
To be honest with you, I would have been so much more satisfied if there was no real world at all in this movie. The movie starts with Mario and Luigi just in the Mushroom Kingdom. This is the world, okay?
Part of
Why
me
do
thought
we
that,
need
yes, I would kind of
this? The frame story, which there's a term for that, where you go into another, right? It's the same thing from the 90s movie. Don't do that. Why? It doesn't make sense for Luigi and Mario to exist in the real world as little tiny men babies who are somehow living with their adult parents.
Men babies, yeah.
But
yeah,
they're somehow fully grown adult babies, and they are always wearing weird costumes. It doesn't. Don't like, if they're gonna have a real world thing, make them real people that live in that world, that live in the world.
Now,
and that way, when they're thrown to the other world, it's a true out of water, or fish out of water experience.
There was an easy fix for that too. Okay, they were filming this commercial. Those were their costumes for the commercial. Later on,
that would have been fine.
They're still wearing it, like, and they're caught off guard. Oh, like, or there's a situation where the flood happens when they're fixing that person's apartment. Oh, we got to go out and investigate. Oh, the only clean clothes I have are these. Whatever. Come up with some reason why they somehow ended up wearing those outfits in the Mushroom Kingdom, and those are the only clothes they have on them, so that's what they're wearing. It wouldn't be hard to do that. None of these fixes are hard fixes. They're all very obvious.
No, they're not. And so, another thing, this is a minor point, but, like, it's just no thought put into this, right? Where, okay, so all those things we said, Mario doesn't like mushrooms. Oh, but he's gonna have to eat them later. Oh, he's picking them off his plate. Okay, so when the scene comes where he has to eat a mushroom, no one would willingly eat a fist-sized mushroom anyway. It doesn't matter if Mario has an aversion to mushrooms. Nothing comes of that after anyway. Like, there's no payoff for that joke. Like, they think they're making a setup and a payoff, a setup and a punchline. There's not. That is not what that is.
Yeah, it's something that works, like, in a very abstract, on paper kind of thing, but it actually doesn't matter at all. And I think the other thing too is, like you're saying, the setup, like, quote unquote payoff. In that case, it wasn't needed. No one cares if, like, Mario doesn't like mushrooms. I think it was something where it's like, oh, let's list some character traits of Mario. Oh, what if he doesn't like mushrooms? Oh, yeah, that's good. No one would expect that, right? And they're writing on a whiteboard, here are the character traits of Mario. But I would have liked maybe a little bit more setup for some of the more random stuff. So, again, like I said before, I don't want, like, an explanation of every single thing going on in the Mushroom Kingdom of the world. But, like, so they just get random suits? Are they gonna, like, give me a little bit more than just power-up?
But again,
maybe not.
What I'm saying is, don't give
know.
me anything. Just, this is what the world is. The audience absorbs it and just goes, oh, okay, this is just the world. Why does Peach is literally telling Mario and the audience, in our world, we have power-ups. Okay,
what does that mean?
So
that doesn't mean anything unless...
meaningless. Yeah. And, like, again, I thought it was going to be something like, oh, maybe Peach knows that only people, humans like her can make use of these power-ups. And that's why she believes Mario is important, because she's like, oh, wait, here's someone that I can bring along with me, and now because he can use these powerful things, we're going to be that much stronger. But that's not the case. Anyone can use power-ups.
Right.
Yeah, and then I guess what I'm saying, too, about the setup, like, okay, so at the end, he gets the Tanuki suit. That's fine or whatever, but, like, if they have, I don't know, it just is out of nowhere. If they had referenced the Tanuki suit, or, like, they're in early, she's showing him around the Mushroom Kingdom, and her's like, here's all of our power-ups that we have, accumulated. They do, like, and you see a Tanuki suit, or, you know what I mean? Just, like, I don't mean to set up in terms of explaining the logics behind how a Tanuki suit works. I don't want that, but just in a storytelling setup payoff, like, oh, okay, yeah, we know that thing because you set it up earlier. That's a thing that you could get, as opposed to just out of nowhere a thing happens and there's a thing, and now he's flying, and, like, I don't know. I want more just, like, the story setup for these things happening.
I mean, I will say, to both your points about the Tanuki suit, I think actually, as much as people do like the Tanuki suit, I think Matt's maybe right. Don't do the Tanuki suit. Just do the freaking cape from Mario World, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I would have agreed that or liked that better too, but it did have like they referenced it in the little commercial at the beginning, which was cute, I guess. And that's the only Cape reference we got. So I don't know, but the same, or even just like the cat suit. Okay, that's a interesting. Like I wasn't expecting to have a cat suit reference in this movie, and that's kind of cool. But
oh, I was expecting it. Yeah, those are that's the most recent game.
Like, just
what game? Game are they going to go out and buy?
Blur the. I don't know. Just blur it a little bit so that it's not literally a suit from a video game that comes out of just like the fire flowers. That was the level of I like that. They just touched this weird flower and now they have fire. That's good. Okay. I don't need any more explanation than that. That works for me.
Right.
The fact that they call it a power up is kind of meh. I wish they didn't call it a power up, but fine. That's what it is. But then what is this cat? It's literally just a suit.
Well, that's the weird thing is that we don't see Mario get into the cat suit, but it is a suit. So did he open the power up and he gets like a limp suit and he goes, I guess I have to get inside this thing like a pajama suit.
Yeah, just make it like a weird thing that he touches and poof. Just like the flowers. Like that's it. That's all we need.
I've got a question
I don't know.
we shouldn't be asking. That's more of a observation though. The small mushroom. I went, that's the small one. He turned small. That's funny, right?
Yeah,
but
it was funny because for people who knew, it's like, I knew the joke coming. Like that was where it worked on me. Is like I know it's cheap and that's exactly what they were hoping, but it worked. However,
in the game, if you get the tiny mushroom and you get hit, you die. And in the movie, they establish if you have any kind of power up and you get hit, you go back to normal before you had it. Mario has one. He gets hit. He goes back to normal. At the end, Bowser, they give him a little one. They put him in a jar. He could just bash his head against the edge of the jar, turn normal, and break out of the jar. The movie is not following its own logic. I know that's a nitpick.
I also didn't like... It's a nitpick, but I also just kind of maybe to more maybe, I don't know, relevant criticism. I don't like the way they just say, when you get hit. What does that mean? Yeah. Are you characters in a movie or are you playing a video game? I mean... They're both, and I get it. Like, I know listeners right now are going, it's a video game. Of course, you idiots. What do you think? Like, I guess, but again, this is someone who likes this movie more than any of us on this podcast right now. Those are the things, like, you didn't have to say get hit. Why would you say that? Why would anyone say get hit?
And I'm going to cite the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. They gave us a reason why the rings were important. They're not the same reason that they are in the video game. But we know why the rings are important to Sonic. He takes damage and he drops his bag of rings. And you go, oh no, Sonic lost his rings. Yeah. That's bad, right?
Yes.
They gave it meaning. Yeah. They made it make sense. And they did it by just using the tiniest fraction of an ounce of creativity. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. In another version of myself, or I feel like I've said in other maybe I would be saying, we didn't need to, like, I kind of appreciated how just like blatantly video gamey it is. They didn't even try. That's refreshing. I mean, I don't think that, but I'm just trying to put myself in a mindset of someone's like, it's just like the video game. You get hit in a video game. So why would they try to rewrite it or make it smarter than it is? It doesn't have to be. It just is that.
Because if I want the video game, I'll play the video game. I guess
there's that value that...
That's why. If I want the video game, I'll play the damn video game. If I want a movie, I want the things that a movie has that makes a movie good. That's why. That's the reason.
It's called adaptation.
Yeah.
So let's go back to mushrooms for another second here. So what's the first thing Mario does when he gets to the Mushroom Kingdom?
I don't know.
He sees the small mushroom you guys were just talking about and reaches out towards it.
Okay.
To touch it.
Oh, yeah.
Despite the fact that he just established he doesn't like mushrooms. Now think about, where is Mario? Where is Mario? He's in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah.
Surrounded by giant freaking mushrooms. This is a golden comedic opportunity where Mario realizes where he is. It does that thing where it's a camera down, the sharp zoom, and it's like the...
Like on his face.
On his face. Play the freaking Psycho re music. Yeah. Yes, this is Mario's nightmare. Play it up. Do something with it. It's the rule of threes. Then later he has to eat a mushroom. Yes, do something. At least think about it.
Yeah, it like I said, it just comes across as a first draft, and all of these things like, oh, if you get some editing on this, like, oh, we could punch this section up. What if you like, right? Like these are things that you read the script and you go, yes, okay, there's something here, but let's improve it on kind of every element. And we're doing it now, but it's just so like, there's no reason for them not to have done this stuff, right? Why would they
It's
not
not
have
like it
done
would have
this?
taken much extra
If you're a
screen
big
time.
production
Like
studio-
it's you're not.
No, none of this would have added a bloated, like turned it into a 2-hour movie at all. I don't know. It's just weird. If you're gonna build a house and it takes the same time to build a house, why would you build a house that is gonna, that has no walls? It takes the
I
same
think you
amount
were
of time.
almost there
That's
with
not a
that
good
analogy.
I was almost there. That analogy
close.
fell
Maybe
apart.
you
I was
used
try- I-
cardboard instead of wood, maybe. Or,
I don't know.
How did
You get what I'm saying. Anyways, okay. Well, we've been very, very negative, rightfully so. But like I said, I gotta indulge in all the stuff that worked for me, and maybe if there's listeners out there who enjoyed it too, we're like, talk about some of the good stuff.
Bowser.
Okay, so no, we
Yeah,
did. We'll
score.
talk some of it. But in terms of all the cheap, not nostalgic, but the cheap references, many of which were cynical and cheap and whatever, but a lot of the ones that worked on me, I'm just going to list a few things. The Baby Mario references, I was like, oh my god, they have Baby Mario and Luigi. I like that. I don't know why.
I liked it in a
just like,
completely unneeded scene.
it completely unneeded, but it was just like, oh, they threw Baby Mario in these things. Like, who I would have, I don't know. I really liked the Baby Mario stuff. I just thought it was silly and fun. Those are the kind of things where I was like, it was unneeded, but yeah, I'm willing to indulge that sort of thing. I think Daisy was in one of the news broadcasts when they're in Brooklyn.
No,
about
it's
the
not
Wasn't
Daisy.
that Daisy
It's,
on the news?
No.
Oh, not Daisy.
Pauline.
Pauline.
Yes, it's Pauline. Well, one
Yes.
of many things the guy
Yes.
next to me pointed at the screen when he saw.
Good. Well, I'm gonna be that guy
Okay.
now. So there's the Yoshi's running we mentioned before. I do think like, okay, they at least got Yoshi in there, but it does undermine the end.
Did you know
Like,
that?
what was the point of the?
That Yoshis in the wild are naturally born with saddles growing out of their flesh.
Well, I guess they hatch out of those eggs in the games with saddles, so it has to be exactly like the game. Otherwise, people
No,
are
in the
going to be
game,
upset.
in the new reboot of Mario in the games, you're gonna have to craft a saddle when you find a Yoshi.
I liked all of the all the just like enemies that were drawn from the games. I know this is like, Sean, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
No, it's fine.
Why are you
Keep
saying
going.
this as a
No, it's all right.
compliment? But
No,
this is
no,
what I
I'm
mean when I
enjoying
say
it.
I want this from a Mario movie. Just like, how many villains did we get in the Sonic movie that are from the games? Like 2. Like,
Yeah, not enough. I
Robotnik,
agree, not
and
enough.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so I love that we got Shy Guys and Sniffits. We got Dry Bones. We got
Why
Cheep-Cheeps,
were
we
the
got
Shy
Goombas,
Guys
we
in the
got-
castle?
Oh, I liked that. I liked that.
Why
They're
wasn't
not-
it booze?
I also was just like, why were there not booze? How did you not throw in some
It was
booze
a
in there?
castle.
Well, yeah,
Shy
no, I
Guys
know
are
they're
not
not
in
usually in the
castles.
castle, but I thought it was appropriate because I think and a lot of people have always found them creepy, and you put them in
Yeah,
the
I
horror
agree.
movie send up scene. That works for me. Honestly, I liked that scene a lot. I liked when the dry
I
bones
did like that scene too.
reassembles itself and its eyes glow
Yeah.
red. I thought that whole scene worked for me.
Yeah, I did like that.
Yeah.
So I like that. So obviously all the Koopa Troopas. I also just like that K-Mech was kind of a
He had
character.
the what's that
Yeah, I
famous
did like that.
old timey Hollywood guy's voice?
Yeah, Peter.
God, I can't even. I'm not even gonna try to impersonate
Peter
that
something.
voice, but
Peter
yeah,
Lorre,
that was
Peter
a great
Lorre.
choice for Kamek.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
So there was a Hammer Brothers in there. There's Goomba, like all of those. Just like I'm sure there's a couple I'm forgetting. So I liked all that stuff. I liked the silliness of like they're in Toad Town and there's coins and the toads are just like hitting the question mark to get money. I don't know. I just felt like that's the kind of weird, silly world building where they're self-aware about enough. I felt like oh, that joke worked because, yeah, this is silly. It doesn't make any sense from the games. So let's highlight that. That's something that worked for me. I don't know if it worked for everyone
No,
else.
I
but
mean, in
liked
general,
it.
like anytime a toad was on screen, I was
Yeah.
pretty happy.
I like Toadsworth. Toadsworth was good too. They also had Captain Toad music in there too. By the way, I was like, yes.
Well, I was holding out for an actual Captain Toad because he
Was it just from Mario 3D Land? Oh no, Captain Toad himself wasn't, but
No.
the music was in
yes,
there.
the music.
I
was
was holding out. I was holding out for a hero.
The little ladybug bug enemies, they were there too.
Yeah.
Also, when they're about to go on Rainbow Road and they're getting the cart selection, I was laughing at that too. When they're doing the little wheels,
Yeah.
that's exactly from the games where they're selecting the different. I like that.
I mean, like it's like these things you're mentioning. Like, yeah, I appreciate them on some level, but the other level, I'm just like, it is like it feels very ham-fisted.
For
like certain one of these are like perfect, like all the Toad stuff. Yeah, it is funny, it's silliest in the background, but then I don't know. But then other things like the Mario Kart selection where they're spinning the wheels, I was like, it didn't work for me. I don't know.
It's why
that worked for me. I could see it not working, but it worked. That worked for me specifically. But I understand what you're saying.
It's the reason why I don't give up extra credit opportunities in my class. You can't just do all these little extra bits and pretend it's the same experience as if you did the real work in the first place. Like, that stuff would be so much sweeter if they had done what they were supposed to do in the first place, which is the script 101 stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like that analogy a lot. It's like you didn't earn these references.
Yeah.
Like that's yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to stop.
Sorry,
There's still more references. Okay, so all the suits, we mentioned the suits. So yeah, I mean, even though the cape wasn't really in as much, but I still liked it. Okay, the cape was there, the Tanuki suit, the cat suit, the fire flower, the ice flower, all that stuff is cool. The bonsai bill at the end, the bullet bills earlier, the airship from the beginning, Bowser's airship. There's other things that I'm kind of drawing a blank. Oh, the eel, when they get swallowed by the eel from Mario 64 and other Marios. One thing that was, I thought was, I don't know, this. I'm not going to say that it was like, whoa, this is cool. I've never thought of that. But when Donkey Kong touches the fire flower, and then you have Fire Donkey, like, oh, that was okay. That's cool. That was something.
It was something,
right? It was something. And then okay, so there's lots of other things that I'm probably forgetting, and I wish maybe I'll remember. But overall, too, another thing that I did really like, and I won't begrudge anyone. I don't think they're wrong if they don't like this, but I liked all of the actiony platforming parts of the film. I don't know.
Yeah.
All of those scenes worked for me. I really like those scenes. I thought, like, it was like, well, it's just the video game. Why don't you just don't go platform in the video game, right? It's like, yeah, but I don't know. The way that it was so action-packed and it was kind of switching between the different characters, and I don't know. Like, I thought those were, like, I was into those sequences a lot. Like, maybe more than they deserved to be, but so, I was into
I guess what I was maybe hoping for or kind of thinking in the back of my head is that, like, why did they ever exist? Like, what I mean by that is, when they exist in the game, there is sort of a reason. I'm imagining going to Bowser's castle, right? He set up these booby traps to thwart Mario.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining that to be the case here. So, again, just going back to the most simple premise of Mario, this plot goes along the lines of Bowser captures Peach, Mario must rescue Peach by infiltrating Bowser's castle and rescuing Peach. The way he does that is by defeating Bowser's enemies, Bowser's allies, Mario's enemies, and navigating his obstacles. Why is he navigating obstacles in the movie?
Well, because it's an action scene. They decided that there needs to be an action scene.
Yeah, and it left me feeling as empty as...
Yeah, I mean, I think the most, to your point, the one that was the most, I think, blatant that, again, I liked all this stuff, but I don't think it's wrong to criticize it, is in the beginning, before they're even in the whatever, it's not the Mushroom Kingdom, it's whatever the world is. But, and they're just in Brooklyn, and there's the platforming section where they're running through the streets of Brooklyn and jumping over pipes, and there's a construction zone, and then Mario hits the flagpole. Like,
that's fun.
I part of me thinks that, like, I should be upset, not upset, but just like, but it worked on me. And then they just escalated that in further action sequences. Like I said, it worked for me. I understand if it doesn't for everyone, but those were some of my favorite parts. I think it just, the music, the other kind of characters kind of dynamically interacting in a way that I actually wish they would from character perspective in terms of like how they were written. It was like, okay, at least we're getting the physicalness of kind of how these characters are cool, I suppose. Also the anytime they showed the map of the world, like I really like that because I like the maps from the Mario games and all the different lands, and there's the desert land, and so I like that. Yeah, there's a lot of Mario stuff in this movie, guys. Because
There sure is. Imagine that.
Also, Mario has like parents and a family.
See,
That's weird.
These are the things that I said I did enjoy it. I didn't get bored, but I also, when I'm not watching it, I think about it at all. I'm like, this isn't a good movie.
The blue shell. Actually, I didn't like how they said. I didn't like the guy saying, "I have the blue," or "I'm a blue."
No,
shell.
he just says blue shell.
Right.
Yeah, he just says blue shell. Like, why did you say
That's
that?
like the equivalent of 5-year-olds playing on the playground. Like, just announcing the moves that they're doing on each other from He-Man or anime.
Yeah, I would have liked it if he had not said blue shell. The other references were visual. You didn't need to specify out loud. Why did you?
I do appreciate suicide anytime it appears in a movie. So.
Well, there you go. Oh, also the cannon. Like, there's the little cannon they're walking by. That's like from Mario 64. The little cannon guys. King Babam when they go to the wedding. Oh, the wedding guest, King Babam.
I know, Peach murdered him.
I know, but it was just hilarious. Like, oh, King Babam. Okay, let's just throw him. I don't know, like that kind of stuff. It worked on me when they're in the Tow Town and there's the little antique shop and has like the little music box and the clouds. That was the more blatantly just like, there's a thing directly. Get it.
Sean, where's Lakitu then?
Yeah, where's the little guy in the cloud?
F-.
There's no there. Oh, the spikies or the spinies, and Bowser's like, I don't know
whatever those are
like
called. I actually did like that. I chuckled.
That's a funny joke. Of course, because it's an actual funny joke, they put it in the trailer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, also, we talked about Jack Black and but the singing stuff, I thought that was great.
Oh, that was gold.
Peaches.
Or when he's playing the theme with Kamek, the Mario, like, I was like, oh, yes, this is great. I don't know.
I don't know if you know, but Peaches, that song is topping the
charts
right now.
I saw that. That makes me happy.
And my kids, several of my kids today asked if I could put it on in class, so I did.
Nice.
And they were all
just the song, just to play the song.
The music video. They released a music video that is the scene, but then they superimposed and cut clips from the rest of the movie over certain parts of it. So, and that video has gone viral. Now it's going to cause... it's the biggest opening for any video game movie in history, and it's probably going to grow legs because they're doing all these little viral things and playing into it, and that's why this movie's going to get a minimum of 10 sequels. Hopefully, better luck next time.
Well, okay, I wrote it, I noted it. So Chewie, theme park, something. There's something.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, we just passed the 2-hour mark.
I know. So maybe quickly.
I'm gonna try to rein it in, but that's not Come on, that's not practical.
Okay.
You guys know me.
We did say earlier that our 2-hour discussion, so we do have to live up to that.
That's true. You're right. Okay. So Universal Illumination partnership. Universal owns Illumination Studios. Universal has theme parks. They have one in Hollywood. They have 2 theme parks in Florida. And they have a couple international, Japan and Singapore. Japan had the first Mario theme park open last year. It's called Nintendo World, but it's just Mario, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Hollywood has just opened theirs. It's almost an exact clone, except for it's missing the baby ride. It still has the main ride, the Mario Kart ride. Now, in Florida... When they first announced that Universal was going to be building Nintendo stuff in their parks, it was right before COVID hit. So they kind of stepped back and reassessed their plans. But in Florida is building a 3rd Universal park right now. And the trend in theme parks is what's called the IP land. Like, you can go to Disneyland and you go to Tomorrowland, it's all the spacey themed stuff. Yeah. Adventureland's all the adventure themed stuff. But now you have stuff like Cars Land, you have Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and Pandora. You have all these things where the whole land is based on one IP, right? So Universal's currently building a park where all the lands are single IP lands. It's going to have How to Train Your Dragon Land. It's going to have a Universal Monsters Land. They're doing another Harry Potter land. Put a pin in that. I'll come back to that. And they're doing a Nintendo land, right? Now they've discovered that, and Ryan, you and I went to Islands of Adventure together, which is their, They have Universal Studios and they have Islands of Adventure. Last time I was in Florida, you and I went together. And so the Islands of Adventure had the first Harry Potter park, and then they added Diagon Alley to the other park. So the third park is getting Wizarding France, which was already built and constructed. And this is a little bit of a side note. They were planning on doing a Fantastic Beasts land. And so the whole thing was themed to Wizarding Paris, and the big ride was going to be you go into the French Ministry, and it was going to be an action ride. Now the plan is you go in, you take the Flu Network to the British Ministry, and the ride's set there. I'm not kidding. They rethemed the whole ride to the British Ministry and added a Flu Network pre-show. Anyway, my point of mentioning that is that Universal has discovered a way to stick it to Disney and to ensure that people will spend more days at their resort is that if they're coming for an IP like Harry Potter, don't put it all in one park. Spread it out between the other parks.
They have to go to everything.
They have to go to see all the parks, and while they're there, they go, oh, look at all this other cool stuff that we didn't know they have. Now they, instead of spending 1 day at Universal, they're spending 3.
Yeah. And
people are going, well, if I want to see all the Harry Potter stuff, and if I want to see the How to Train Your Dragon stuff and whatever, I don't know if I have time for Disney World, right? This is their strategy right now. So their Nintendo World is getting Mario, the full Mario area that Japan has, and a Donkey Kong area. It's going to have a minecart roller coaster that I can't describe it visually, but they're making it look like it's jumping the tracks. So it's getting a whole Donkey Kong theme. When I watched this movie, I went, they are synergy geniuses, right? Hollywood is opening their Nintendo Land at the same time that the Mario movie's coming out. Cross-promotion galore, right? Yeah. Florida's getting one that has the 2 big IPs that the Mario movie has, right? Before COVID, I heard rumors, I was reading rumors that the area in Islands of Adventure, Ryan, there was that, do you remember Poseidon's Fury? It was that walkthrough temple show thing.
Yeah, I think
and there was a water tunnel. Okay, there were rumors that was getting closed, and the rumor was it would be rethemed to Zelda. And that whole little area would be a Zelda land. Now, what did they just announce today? Poseidon's Fury is closing without warning.
Oh.
So, I think that not only are they going to dust off those plans and build the Zelda land, I think that we're probably going to see another Nintendo land pop up at the third Universal Park that doesn't have Nintendo. I think Islands of Adventure, which has a Marvel-themed land, which is awkward because Marvel has since been bought by Disney since they built that land. I've heard rumorings that that's going to get rethemed to Pokemon, and the Spider-Man ride will become a Pokemon Snap ride. Just rumors, but I could see that happening as well. And so I think, because of that, the synergy, the cross-promotion, I'm expecting that a Zelda movie will be announced in the next couple years. By Illumination, which I know, not good, but I think they will. And that's why I believe that when they get all these franchises and all these theme parks lands up and built, we will get a Super Smash Brothers movie. I'm reading the signs, and I think that's where this is going. I think people are tired of the MCU, and I think the NCU is what we're looking at for the next decade.
I mean, it's bold and big and wacky, or insane. I could potentially see it happening though, and
there's just too many things that don't feel like coincidence to me. I just feel like these conversations have been had, and I think they've already proven how good they are at synergy. I think that this is maybe not the Smash Brothers movie, but I do think that they're going to really lean. Yeah. They're going to lean heavily into all these Nintendo IPs. They're going to make animated Illumination movies for all of these. Illumination has just found its golden egg.
Yeah, right? I mean, yeah, absolutely. So all of this stuff, I would actually be way more excited for. I mean, obviously, you're going to do multiple Mario movies with how successful, and that to me, yes, great. As successful, even if it's not good. Whatever, video game movie, except for, and this is the big caveat, is that it's Illumination. If Illumination wasn't involved with any of this, I would be so much more excited. I'm already happy that they're successful and stuff, but man, if Man, can you imagine if this wasn't Illumination?
I would take DreamWorks. I mean,
totally, absolutely.
DreamWorks just made their best movie in years.
Yeah,
and I know I'm not as into How to Train Your Dragon as a lot of people are.
Still, quality movie. It's a movie that's written that understands how movies work.
Yes. They proved to me that if they took the same style and tone, DreamWorks could handle a Zelda movie.
Yeah, the Zelda stuff has me very I'm not.
I
would be okay because Mario is at least light and a bad Mario movie. I don't care. The games are still Mario. I've never but Zelda. I don't know. This it's I guess too precious to me. I don't want a Zelda movie. I think it's especially not by Illumination.
I think it's gonna and but Universal, maybe they give the Zelda movie to DreamWorks. I don't know. But I think you need to mentally and emotionally prepare. Okay, I see the writing. I see the writing on the wall. I'm interpreting it as I see it.
It's the same with Metroid. I would be fine. I mean, there's been a ton of Pokemon movies, so whatever. But I would be fine-ish with a Pokemon or a Kirby Illumination movie, a Pokemon, all that. Animal Crossing. Throw them they're Illumination Animal Crossing movie. But I don't want Zelda or Metroid. Especially not an Illumination.
Well, I mean,
I think they're gonna have. I think Zelda's gonna.
I don't think
it's inevitable.
Illumination would take Metroid. I mean, it would be. I don't know. I think it would be silly not to just do a live action Metroid. It seems like that's
of all their IPs, that's the closest that I feel that would.
I mean, I honestly would like a live action Zelda, but
I would. I think I would too. Of their all,
but I do actually agree with Matt. I do believe we will be getting more Nintendo IPs by Illumination, namely Zelda.
Yeah,
and maybe not Illumination. Maybe just Universal in general.
I'm excited
maybe
the same
some of these
way
will be
that
live action. But
when comic books movies started taking off, I was excited. Even if maybe everyone wasn't my that's exciting in general for the ideas or for video games or for comic books in general. But Illumination has me much more soured.
But I'm extrapolating even further. Last of Us is making waves, and I think that we're sitting at the beginning of at least a solid decade of a lot of video game, TV, and film content. I think if Nintendo and Universal were smart, they would do the shared universe thing because of how much money Mario the movie made and how.
And I think audiences
the theme parks are going.
expectations and stuff, not so specifically expecting a Smash Brothers movie, but in terms of big IP franchises, that is there's this kind of, I think, tacit expectation now that things are leading to things and things are going to have cross connection between other, I feel like just an audience now or the media landscape, people are just kind of expecting that, they're assuming that is how these things are going to be working.
It's the obvious move. It's the obvious mood. Make all these things movies, make them all theme parks, cross-promote them. Yeah. Universal beats Disney. That is I can't see them thinking of any other plan.
I mean, if I was a big executive, exactly. Why would I not want that? Right? It's just money.
Right.
It's just money.
It's just money.
Yeah, right.
So some of these things might be good. Some of them will probably be bad. Yeah. I will be excited by whatever theme park Nintendo stuff they make. I'm sure that stuff will be good. Yeah. Universal's been killing it with the theme park stuff. So make Zelda the ride.
Yeah, if there's a Hyrule Land, I mean, I won't lie. That sounds excitingly awesome. I mean, like I said, part of me is there's a preciousness to it. No, you can't touch this. But yeah, that's exciting.
I mean, they built the original Harry Potter land by retheming in a pre-existing generic fantasy land and adding Harry Potter stuff to it. Mm-hmm. The area where that ride is, the Poseidon's Fury, is a ancient ruins, vaguely Greek gods, vaguely Norse gods themed area where there's a lot of rubble and rock work and hidden and tombs and stuff like that. It already looks like Zelda is what I'm trying to say. It already looks like Zelda. Just throw some Triforces on all the buildings and you're done, basically.
Well, all right, there we go. That's our future.
Go. And I kept it at about 10 minutes.
Oh, that's good. No, it was
10 to 15, somewhere in there. So I've spoken my piece, and I think I'm right. I think I'm going to be right.
I think you probably are. I think if not every single thing you've said, I think a lot of what you're saying is going to be happening in some form or another.
Yes.
Well, you heard it here first, folks, I guess.
NCU. Nintendo lands at every Universal Park.
Yep.
10 years from now, people are tiring of the MCU. That's what's happening. That's what's going to happen. All right. Well, I've spoken my piece, gentlemen.
Cool.
Thank you for indulging me. I appreciate it.
No, yeah. Thanks for presenting. You're fine.
Yes.
Presenting us with the world of tomorrow. It's like you're pitching. You have a little model, and here's where this is. You going wrong. And sure, we'll buy into it. Anything else to say about the Mario movie, though?
Would you recommend it?
I
It's
would.
complicated.
I mean, it's complicated. I would. Like I said, it's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. Period. But
It could easily be much better.
Yeah. The worst part is that it could be better. We could see the better movie that's there, and I'm not a good person for saying this, but I still liked it. I know that's it's a morally wrong thing for me to like this movie.
I'm not going to
Ethically,
moralize
it's
this,
Incorrect. But I
Look,
still
it's
liked
just-
it, and I recommend it to people for that reason.
I'm not gonna moralize. I'm kind of done moralizing movies and people's tastes in movies. I just kind of, at this point in my life, go, I've got much bigger problems, dude. Like the movies that you like. If it brings you joy, it brings you joy. That's fine. But honestly, I think recommending it is pointless.
Yeah.
You like Mario and you're gonna go see it, or you don't like Mario and you're not gonna go see it, and they're gonna have your money either way. And it is what it is. You've heard it here. It is a money printing machine it's a Mario product. It is a competently made Mario product. Is it a good movie? No.
It's not a good movie. It's competently made, at least in terms of the production.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Also,
And
I liked it
Ryan-
when Peach floated at the end when she.
Because she floats
There's-
in the game.
There's donut blocks. There was the donut blocks. The little turtle show when King Babam sat down, went back and forth on the seat.
Mhm.
God, all of this stuff is quality
You
movie
didn't mention
making.
Bowser
These-
breathes fire in the movie.
Bowser breathes fire. Oh, you mentioned the Odyssey, but the Odyssey groom suit.
Tuxedo, yes.
Tuxedo.
The white
Yes.
tuxedo. Man, he looks
He
good
did
in that
look good.
tuxedo.
He looks good.
Upside down
in that
pyramids.
tuxedo. Upside down
Floating
pyramids. All of it. That's
Yeah.
all I wanted from. If all of this stuff was in any of the Best Picture nominees, it would have made them better movies. Is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Remember that time when Bowser gets really mad at Mario at the end of the movie and he says, "You ruined my wedding." But then do you remember how 10 minutes before that, he actually had no role in ruining his wedding? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, would you recommend this?
Yeah,
movie?
I mean, definitely. This is... I mean, Matt, you said it already, but it's nothing I say is going to stop you from saying this, and nor should it. Whereas I will say, if you listen to my advice regarding Avatar, kudos to you. This one, don't listen to my advice. Go see this movie.
There you have it, folks.
Did you hear that Avatar 3 is going to be released as a movie and then also as a Disney Plus series in a 6-hour long version?
What?
Yep. You're going to have to watch both. If you want to see it in 3D, you better go watch the 3-hour version in theaters. And then if you want to see the full movie, you better watch the series on Disney Plus. Because that's what they're doing.
I don't.
Ryan, you're going to love that.
I'm going to love it. I will watch it, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I will too.
We all will watch it.
I'll go to Irvine, I'll go to the IMAX, and I'll watch the movie, and then I'll watch the Disney Plus show, and we'll talk about it, because that's...
We're willing
Apparently-
participants in this whole charade of a thing we call existence.
I'm not a willing participant.
You said you're going to go see it.
Oh, you said existence.
Well, Avatar is life.
Oh, forgive me. I forgot.
It's
All right, let's wrap this
up. Well, yeah,
okay.
Sean,
yeah.
I mean, at the end, you got to make sure to mention the cheat code for watching the movie that you can put in.
Oh yeah. Press hold A and B and press select, and then you could continue from any chapter in the movie where you died when you were watching it. I'm surprised they didn't have any sort of life reference or gag, like, oh, you died, here's a 1-up or an extra life.
Green mushroom. Yeah.
Green mushrooms. I guess that would have undermined the stakes.
And then you
even more.
then you get to have another joke. Mario goes, "Yes, I love mushrooms."
Yeah, right.
There's the rule of 3, right? It comes full circle.
Yeah.
Now
Writes itself.
Yep.
Come on, right. Illumination.
Yeah,
Come
man.
on.
Someone just if Mario 2 and hey Mario 2 rights go to the Spider-Verse guys. Oh man, look at that. There's a
Sony.
What's going to happen with the Mario 2 movie is actually going to be a Pixar movie that they can and then just like draw in Mario's faces over the characters.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. It would have the Pixar movie, The Panic of Doki. That would have been the original Pixar movie. Anyways,
So do you guys hear they're making Frozen 3?
Yeah.
no. I didn't hear that.
All right, let's get out of here. Good night,
Okay,
everybody.
cool. Yeah, let's write in. Oh, yeah, I'm sure there's people out there with hot takes on Mario. So please tell us. Send us in the emails. We haven't got an email in a while, and there's no better reason to send us emails
grumpy.
than Mario.
We're so curmudgeonly. We hate everything.
And-
We hate things that bring people joy.
I don't. I liked it, but it was still bad.
No, Sean, you hated it.
I hated it.
Because you're a critic.
But yeah, send us those takes. Tell us all of them. We want to hear it all. And stay tuned for future episodes. We may still do a D&D episode. After that, we might have a few weeks off. We're all going to be busy for a bit, but we'll be back soon. With what we got. We got Guardians of the Galaxy.
Captain Marvel's and Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are both soon.
Those are soon. We got the Flash movie.
I think Trolls 2 comes out pretty soon, right?
Trolls 2. Yeah, so there's stuff coming down the pipe this summer. The pipe. There was the invisible pipes from Mario 3D Land. Oh, guys. I said it
Sean,
at the beginning. 10 out of 10, perfect film.
But Sean, how many more 3 slow-mo sequences of Mario saying something in slow-mo could you have used in this movie?
Yeah. They should have had Mario and Luigi should have had cards, and they got in a fight, and they dropped the cards, and they wanted to collect the set of 3 cards.
Dun 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 dun
Yes.
dun 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 dun.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Mario should have been faced with a card game where he had to remember the matching symbols. Getting these references, listeners? We're as bad as the movie itself.
Oh no!
Dun, 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 dun. The sun should have been wearing sunglasses. Man. Anyways.
Dun 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 dun.
No! Get out. Oh, if they do make a Smash Brothers movie, they could get Sonic, though.
Oh
my god.
Okay, let's end this. Let's kill this, alright? Let's do it. Done with this.
Bye!
Alright. Goodbye. This podcast is the worst thing any of us have ever done.
This has been
After the Credits.
a YumChunks podcast.
I don't like me liking this movie. I'm not proud of it. I didn't want to like this movie. I don't know. What am I supposed to do? I need to see someone.